Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales. Chapter 1096. The golden figure did not look back, nor did he respond to the inner demons. Guiyuan sword technique. The inner demon's eyes flashed fiercely. Crimson sword chi emerged, and 50 sword shadows appeared in an instant, slashing toward the golden figure. Feeling the destructive sharpness, the golden figure narrowed his eyes and said, "I mean you no harm. Why don't you let it go?" This voice, the inner demons trembled, and the 50 sword shadows stopped in the void. Their eyes were full of disbelief. The golden figure took the opportunity to open the portal and left without looking back. "This sovereign, did you hear it?" The inner demons thought. "Yes. I didn't expect it to be her." In the inner world, Qin Feiyang also felt incredulous. "It seems that she didn't help you purely out of kindness. She must have some other purpose." The inner demons said. "Probably." Qin Feiyang lowered his head and muttered, his eyes flickering. The inner demons also entered the castle with the divine python tribe's leader. What happened? Seeing the heavenly spiral tribe's leader lying on the ground like a dead dog covered in blood, the inner demons looked at Lu Hong and the others suspiciously. Viper smiled and said, "This person doesn't know what's good for him. After coming to the castle, he still wanted to cause trouble, so I gave him a good beating." The inner demons suddenly understood. He looked down at the heavenly spiral tribe's leader contemptuously and sneered, "Where do you think this is? Do you think this is a place for you to be presumptuous?" The heavenly spiral tribe's leader curled up, his eyes full of despair. "Where is this?" At the same time, the divine python tribe's leader glanced at Lu Hong and the others and the castle in surprise. The inner demons said proudly, "This is my space divine item." Space divine item? The divine python tribe's leader was suspicious. "Can't you see it? He is Qin Feiyang, the man who terrifies everyone." The heavenly spiral tribe's leader pointed at the inner demons and shouted at the divine python tribe's leader. "What? Qin Feiyang?" The chief of the divine python tribe widened his eyes in disbelief. He. Wolf King couldn't stop laughing. The chief of the divine python tribe glanced at them one by one. When he saw the Wolf King, his body and mind trembled. He then looked at the inner demons and said, "It really is you. Are you surprised?" The inner demons said. The chief of the divine python tribe asked, "If you are Qin Feiyang, then who is your brother? What is his purpose in sneaking into the main tower?" Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that the person before him was the one who had massacred several large regions and snatched away the heavenly astral flames. "You should worry more about yourself." The inner demons formed a seal with both hands, and 2 enslavement seals appeared, sinking into the heads of the heavenly spiral tribes and divine python tribes leaders. The 2 of them immediately screamed. But soon, the pain disappeared. The chief of the divine python tribe roared, "What did you do to me?" Lu Hong, explain to them." After saying that, the inner demons left the ancient castle. Qin Feiyang immediately manifested next to the inner demons. The inner demons said, "I'll leave the rest to you. Thank you for your hard work." Qin Feiyang smiled. After interacting with the inner demons for a long time, he realized that this guy wasn't that difficult to get along with. The inner demons laughed and returned to his inner world. Qin Feiyang's consciousness also entered his sea of consciousness. After pondering for a moment, he found a pool nearby, washed the blood off his body, and changed into a clean set of clothes. Then, he opened a portal and descended into an alchemy room. The alchemy room was very quiet. A young man in white was sitting cross-legged in the cultivation room. It was Pei Yi. Qin Feiyang entered the cultivation room and said with a smile, "Brother Pei, I've taken the liberty to visit you again." Pei Yi opened his eyes and looked up at Qin Feiyang. He was speechless. "Only you. If it were someone else, I would definitely chase them out. Qin Feiyang shook his head and chuckled. Do you have time? I have something to talk to you about. Yes. Pei Yi nodded and got up. Let's go to the lounge. We can talk while drinking. The two of them entered the lounge one after another and sat opposite each other in front of the coffee table. Pei Yi washed the tea set and asked while making tea, "What's the matter?" Qin Feiyang said, "Do you remember that I told you that there was more to your father's death when we were at the Divine Python tribe previously?" Slightly stunned, Pei Yi said apprehensively, "I remember that you didn't say that there was more to my father's death. Instead, you said that you wanted to tell me how he died." Yes. That's what I said. However, there is indeed more to your father's death. I just didn't say it so bluntly back then. Qin Feiyang said. Pei Yi's gaze froze and he stopped what he was doing. He said in a low voice, "I hope you can tell me the truth." Qin Feiyang said, "Are you mentally prepared, then? Will this matter be a huge blow to me?" Pei Yi asked. "Very. It might even break you down." Qin Feiyang nodded. Pei Yi remained silent and began to make tea again. There was no expression on his face at all. No one knew what he was thinking. Gurgle. A few moments later. Pei Yi picked up the teapot and poured 2 cups of tea. He pushed 1 cup of tea towards Qin Feiyang while holding the other cup for himself. He then placed it beside his mouth and slowly sipped on it. Qin Feiyang was not in a hurry either. He sipped on the tea while waiting. All of a sudden, Pei Yi raised his head and downed the tea in 1 gulp. He then looked at Qin Feiyang and said smilingly, "I believe there's nothing that can affect me anymore. Tell me." Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and put down the teacup. Staring into Pei Yi's eyes, he said, "The real culprit behind your father's death is your uncle." Ka-cha. As soon as he said that, the teacup in Pei Yi's hand was crushed into pieces. A deafening silence filled the resting room. After some time, Pei Yi asked softly, "Do you have any evidence?" His tone was calm, as if he was not affected at all. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. Pei Yi asked, "When did you find out?" "On the day I accompanied you to retrieve your father's body, Fatso and I went to investigate. At that time, someone witnessed your uncle murdering your father. Fu Anshan also knows about it and has been using it to threaten your uncle for years." Qin Feiyang said. Pei Yi asked, "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" Qin Feiyang said, "This matter is too cruel to you. So, I couldn't bear to do it." "Why are you telling me now, then?" Pei Yi asked. Qin Feiyang said, "Because tomorrow, all of this will be made public. I want to tell you in advance, so that you won't." Pei Yi said, "Are you afraid that I'll go berserk tomorrow?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Pei Yi hung his head low again and remained silent. Qin Feiyang looked at him and asked with a frown, "Why don't you doubt my words at all?" "Because you don't have a motive to lie to me." Pei Yi smiled calmly and looked up at Qin Feiyang. "It's also because I already knew the truth long ago." "What?" Qin Feiyang sprung up abruptly. "Are you shocked? Why am I still so indifferent after knowing the truth?" Pei Yi asked with a smile. Qin Feiyang looked at him deeply and returned to his seat. Shaking his head, he said self-deprecatingly, "Seems like I've been too nosy." "No. I want to thank you for forcing me to face the truth. Did you know? I've been avoiding it in the past because I didn't know how to face it. No matter what, he's still my second uncle and we share the same blood. He's also the one who raised me. So, I've been pretending to be a fool and refusing to think about these things." Pei Yi sighed. "When did you find out?" Qin Feiyang asked. Very, very long ago. I think it was when I was in my teens. I went to look for him one day and happened to overhear him talking to Pei Qin about it. So, you're not afraid that I'll go berserk tomorrow? Because I've already gone berserk countless times over the years and I've already become numb to it. Pei Yi shook his head and smiled. Ah. Qin Feiyang sighed and said, there must be another reason why you didn't expose him, right? Yes. Once this matter is exposed, the divine python tribe will definitely fall from grace and may even be squeezed out of the super tribes. Do you know? My ancestors have sacrificed a lot to make the divine python tribe what it is today. I can't let the tribe decline because of my personal affairs. Pei Yi smiled and said, full of vicissitudes and helplessness. Qin Feiyang looked at him with a complicated expression. For the sake of the tribe's honor, he was willing to put aside the blood feud and bear it alone. This person was really admirable. Qin Feiyang said, what about now? Will you stop me? No. Some things can't be avoided forever. There will be a day when you have to face it. I also believe that if it weren't for my second uncle who went too far, you wouldn't have done this. Pei Yi said. After chatting for a while, Qin Feiyang left. This conversation also gave him a comprehensive understanding of what kind of person Pei Yi was. He was responsible. He was responsible. He was magnanimous and had a great vision. He could conclude that this person would definitely become a formidable person in the future. The next day. North City. Early in the morning, the people of the transaction pavilion entered the central square, which was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. When the sun rose, Fu Anshan led a group of guards into the square with his head held high and his chest puffed out. He was in high spirits. Yan Wei followed behind him with a smile on his face. Fu Anshan walked to the center of the square and scanned the surroundings. Then, he looked at Yan Wei and instructed, go and check. Be careful and don't make any mistakes. Okay. Yan Wei nodded. Fu Anshan looked at the guards again and shouted, and you guys, keep a close eye on me. If my succession ceremony is ruined because of your negligence, I'll hold you responsible. Yes. A group of guards responded loudly and spread out in all directions, standing straight at the edge of the square, ready for battle. Today is the day this old man will soar to the top, haha. Looking at everything in front of him, Fu Anshan couldn't help but laugh in his heart. A moment later, Yan Wei returned to Fu Anshan and said with cupped fists, Lord, I've checked. There's no problem. Well done. Later, you'll be in charge of monitoring the entire place. Once there are any changes, immediately think of a way to suppress them. Fu Anshan transmitted his voice. Understood. Congratulations in advance, Lord. Yan Wei smiled obsequiously. Fu Anshan laughed and said, don't worry, when I soar, I won't shortchange you. Thank you, Lord. Chapter 1097. The sun was high in the sky. Everything was ready and waiting for the guests to enter. Soon, a tall and sturdy man appeared in the air above the square. His face was stern and serious. It was Mo Yizhen. Fu Anshan immediately went forward and cupped his fists, Brother Mo, welcome, welcome. Mo Yizhen also cupped his hands and smiled, Brother Fu, congratulations. Fu Anshan chuckled and asked, when will the pavilion master and vice pavilion master arrive? It should be soon. Old Brother Fu, don't be anxious. You're already a deputy pavilion master. You won't be able to run away. Mo Yizhen smiled. Of course, of course. Fu Anshan nodded repeatedly. Suddenly, another figure descended in the sky above the square. This person looked middle-aged and was dressed in luxurious clothes. He had sword-like eyebrows that reached his temples and exuded an immense pressure. Seeing this person, Yan Wei hurriedly shouted loudly, the Qilan tribe's leader has arrived. Fu Anshan's spirit was roused, and he hurriedly raised his head to look at the Qilan tribe's leader. He cupped his hands and said with a smile, "Brother Wu, long time no see. I trust you've been well since we last met." "Brother Wu, nice to meet you." Mo Yizhen also cupped his hands and smiled. The leader of the Qilan tribe landed in front of the two of them and said with a smile, "Nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Also, congratulations to Brother Fu for being promoted to Vice Pavilion Master. In the future, I hope Brother Fu will take care of me." "You're welcome. Brother Wu, please have a seat." Fu and Shan personally led the Qilan tribe's leader to a seat in the center. After the Qilan tribe's leader sat down, he smiled and said, "Brother Fu, you don't have to pay attention to me. Go and busy yourself." "That's good. Brother Wu, please help yourself." Fu Anshan nodded with a smile and prepared to welcome the next guest. The square had already become a sea of people, and it was extremely lively. The leader of the Adamantine tribe has arrived. Suddenly, Yan Wei's shout rang out again. A 2-meter-tall man appeared in the air above the square. Fu Anshan smiled and said, "Brother Nye, we're honored by your presence. This Fu failed to welcome you from afar. I hope that you can forgive me. Today is your big day, so you don't have to be so polite." The leader of the Vajra tribe waved his hand and smiled. He glanced at the square and asked in a low voice, "Why don't I see Ancestor Mu? Didn't you invite him?" A cold light flashed in the depths of Fu Anshan's eyes, and he said with a smile, "How can I not invite Chief Pagoda Master's personal disciple? Don't worry, Brother Nye, he'll definitely be here soon. Then I'll be waiting." The Vajra tribe's chief said meaningfully. He walked straight to the side of the Qilan tribe's chief and sat down. The two of them exchanged greetings for a while and then began to chat. Yan Wei walked to Fu Anshan's side and said in a low voice, "Your Excellency, this Vajra tribe's leader seems to have some ill intentions. Of course I can tell. He's trying to target Ancestor Mu. To me, this is a good thing. But not today. If he wants to cause trouble later, remember to think of a way to stop him." Fu Anshan transmitted his voice. Before he succeeded as the Deputy Pavilion Master, he did not want to see any accidents, not even the slightest accident. "Understood." Yan Wei nodded. Soothing Lake. "Sis, Brother Mu, it's time for us to go." Young Master Hao stood in the courtyard, glanced at Qin Feiyang and Wang Yu's courtyard, and urged, "It's not like you're going to succeed as the Deputy Pavilion Master of the Trading Pavilion. Why are you in such a hurry?" Wang Yu's cold voice came out. "I have something to deal with too. Wait for me." Qin Feiyang's voice also came out from the pavilion. "What a dawdler." Young Master Hao glared at the two pavilions in dissatisfaction. In the pavilion, Qin Feiyang was actually ready, but there were still some things to be done. He took out the image crystal. Fatso's shadow soon appeared. Qin Feiyang asked, "Have you found Li He and Shen Feiyun?" "Yes. I guess they've already sneaked into North City," Fatso said. "Then come over," Qin Feiyang said. "Okay." Fatso nodded. In less than 3 breaths, Fatso appeared in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, and the leaders of the Heavenly Spiral tribe and the Divine Python tribe appeared out of thin air. Their bodies were still stained with blood, and their Qi had not recovered. Their faces were full of fear and despair. You already know the effect of the slave seal. If you want to live, do as I say. Also, don't play tricks with me. I know what you're thinking. I can also kill all of you before you can even speak. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them coldly. The leader of the Heavenly Spiral tribe trembled and said, "After this is done, will you really let us go?" "I'll think about it." After Qin Feiyang finished speaking, he looked at Fatso and said, "Take them to North City first and act according to the situation. Understood. Fatso nodded, opened the portal, and looked at the two coldly. Let's go. The two of them looked at each other and could only follow Fatso into the portal. The show is about to begin. Fu Anshan, are you ready? Qin Feiyang muttered with a cold smile and turned to walk out of the attic. At the same time, Wang Yuer also came out. Seeing Wang Yuer at this moment, young Master Hao and Qin Feiyang's eyes lit up. Wang Yuer was dressed in a light green silk dress. Her long black hair was tied up with an exquisite jade hairpin at the end of her hair. She walked out slowly, and her body was graceful. Whether it was the charm or the noble aura she used to have, they were all gone. She was pure and charming. Young Master Hao walked up, touched Wang Yuer's forehead, and said suspiciously, "You don't have a fever? What are you doing?" Wang Yuer raised her eyebrows. "You've never dressed like this before. Is there something wrong with your brain?" Young Master Hao said. A row of black lines appeared on Wang Yuer's forehead. Seeing that the situation was not good, young Master Hao hurriedly said with a smile, "But it's not bad. You have the temperament of a lady and everyone loves you. Brother Mu, don't you think so?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. Seeing that Qin Feiyang approved of her, Wang Yuer could not help but feel a trace of joy in her heart. However, her face was still as cold as frost. She opened the portal and said, "Let's go." The three of them walked in one after another. Swoosh! When the three of them arrived in the sky above the square, the leaders of the 8 super tribes had all arrived, including Lu Yuan and the other 2 stewards. As soon as Yan Wei saw the three of them, he immediately shouted, "Young Master Hao, Young Master Yu, and Young Master Mu are here." The leaders raised their heads to look at the three of them, and their eyes flickered with an inexplicable light. Fu Anshan also immediately went up to greet them, bowed, and said with a smile, "I thought the three of you wouldn't come." Wang Yuer smiled faintly and said, "Steward Fu invited us so warmly. Wouldn't it be rude if we didn't come?" Young Master Hao said, "Sister, you should change the way you address him now. You should call him Pavilion Master Fu." No. I haven't succeeded the position of Deputy Pavilion Master yet. You can't call him that." Fu Anshan hurriedly waved his hands in fear. "It's only a matter of time." Young Master Hao grinned. Fu Anshan chuckled and extended his hand, "Young Masters, Miss Yu, please take a seat." The three of them nodded and landed on the square, walking towards the 8 leaders. "Hello, Young Master Mu. Hello, Young Master Hao. Hello, Miss Yu, The 8 great leaders all stood up and greeted her. As for the leaders of the Vajra tribe and the Qilan tribe, although they also greeted Qin Feiyang with a smile, there was clearly a hint of coldness hidden in their smiles. Qin Feiyang didn't care and returned the greetings one by one. Following that, the three of them sat side by side. Young Master Hao swept his gaze across the people in the plaza and said in a low voice, "Brother, do you think the young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion will come for such a big matter?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and said with a sound transmission, "That will depend on whether Fu Anshan invited her or not. The young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion has arrived." Before he finished speaking, Yan Wei's voice sounded. Where? Young Master Hao's spirit was aroused, and he immediately looked forward, and saw a woman wearing a light golden dress floating over, landing on the plaza. However, just like before, her face was covered by a veil, and her true appearance could not be seen clearly. Only a pair of watery eyes could be seen. Idiot! Wang Yu rolled his eyes and glanced at Qin Feiyang. When he realized that Qin Feiyang was also staring straight at the young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion, a wave of anger immediately rose in his heart. These stinking men were indeed all the same. The young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion swept a glance at Qin Feiyang and young Master Hao, then walked in front of Fu Anshan and bowed with a smile. Congratulations to Elder Fu for being promoted to Vice Pavilion Master. Fu Anshan hurriedly said, "You're welcome, miss, please take a seat." Here, young Master Hao immediately waved to the young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion. Wang Yu said angrily, "You're a man, can't you have some backbone?" However, young Master Hao turned a deaf ear to him, his eyes filled with anticipation. The young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion looked at young Master Hao and shook her head with a smile. Then, she slowly walked in front of the three of them and smiled at Qin Feiyang. "Young Master, we meet again." "Nice to meet you." Qin Feiyang nodded. Young Master Hao called out, Come, sit beside me." "Thank you, young Master Hao." The young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion bowed politely, turned around and sat on the chair. Then, she smiled and nodded at Wang Yu, and looked at the plaza in front of her. Young Master Hao asked in a low voice, "Didn't you not like this kind of occasion?" "Although I don't like it, since Steward Fu has invited me, I will definitely give him face." The young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion chuckled. Young Master Hao sent a sound transmission, "Then you have to be careful of him, this guy is an old hooligan." The young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion was stunned, and nodded, "Thank you for your reminder, young master, I will be careful." Now, young Master Hao only had eyes for the young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion, and directly treated Qin Feiyang and Wang Yu as heir. Wang Yu glanced at the young miss of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion, and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Tell me honestly, what's your relationship with her?" "There's nothing between me and her." "Why do you ask?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. "Didn't you notice? Ever since she came here, you've been watching her, and you still say that there's nothing between us?" Wang Yu said angrily. Qin Feiyang stared blankly for a moment before teasing, "Are you jealous?" "Scram! Do you know her very well? And you're jealous? You think too highly of yourself." Wang Yu snorted coldly, somewhat angry from embarrassment. "Then why are you asking so much? It's my freedom to look at whoever I like." "It's none of your business," Qin Feiyang said indifferently. "You." Chapter 1098. Could this woman have really fallen for me? Qin Feiyang glanced at Wang Yu's expression from the corner of his eye and could not help but feel uneasy. It was a happy thing to be liked by someone. Especially someone like Wang Yu, who was beautiful, talented and had a strong family background. However, Qin Feiyang did not feel happy at all. There was only worry. What's going on? Why isn't the leader of the Divine Python tribe here yet? Suddenly, the leader of the Diamond tribe asked suspiciously. "That's right. I haven't seen him." Everyone reacted with puzzlement on their faces. The leader of the Diamond tribe looked at Fu Anshan and asked, "Brother Fu, didn't you invite him?" "I did." Fu Anshan nodded and thought for a moment before smiling. "He might have been delayed by something. Let's wait a little longer. I'm late. Please forgive me, everyone." However, before he finished, an old voice sounded from above. Everyone looked up and saw a red-haired old man standing in the sky. He was wearing a bright red robe and exuded an unfathomable aura. However, upon closer inspection, one would realize that there was a hint of worry between his brows. Aren't you the Grand Elder of the Divine Python tribe? Why are you here? Where's your leader?" The leader of the Diamond tribe and the others looked at him in shock. "Our leader was delayed by something and couldn't come personally. That's why he sent me to attend the ceremony. I'm really sorry." The red-haired old man smiled. Fu Anshan waved it off. "It's fine, it's my honor that the Grand Elder is here personally. Please take a seat." The red-haired old man smiled and landed beside Qin Feiyang. He sat on the seat beside him and sent a voice transmission, "Young friend, can you tell me where my leader and high priest are now?" "How would I know where your leader and high priest are?" Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and he turned to look at the red-haired old man in confusion. "Young friend, let's not beat around the bush. Last night, your brother came to my divine python tribe and left with the leader and high priest. They haven't returned yet. Sending a message to them is like throwing a stone into the ocean. Little friend, I don't know what grudge you have with our leader, but please don't harm him." The red-haired old man pleaded. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "How can I hurt him with my little ability? Old man, I really don't know. Why don't I ask my big brother after the ceremony?" "Thank you very much," the red-haired old man said gratefully. "Pavilion Master, Vice Pavilion Master has arrived." At this moment, Yan Wei's voice sounded again. The square immediately quieted down. Everyone looked up and saw two old men standing in the air. One of them was wearing a long white robe. He was in high spirits, his eyes were bright, and his temperament was outstanding. The other person was dressed in a black robe. He had white hair, a stooped body, and a weak aura. His eyes were dim and lifeless. "Greetings, Pavilion Master and Vice Pavilion Master." Fu Anshan, Mo Yizhen, Lu Yuan and the other two stewards, as well as the staff and guards of the trading pavilion, all knelt down to greet him. "Greetings, elders." Qin Feiyang and the other two, the 8 leaders, the red-haired old man, and the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion also stood up and bowed. "No need to be so polite." The pavilion master of the trading pavilion looked at the people below with a smile and said to the old man in black, "Let's go down." The old man in black nodded. The two landed in the center of the square and then walked straight to Qin Feiyang under everyone's gaze. The old man in black cupped his hands and said, "I've heard of little friend's name. Seeing you today, you're indeed a dragon among men. He's the vice pavilion master of the trading pavilion." Wang Yuer transmitted her voice. Qin Feiyang nodded and said with a smile, "Senior is too polite. I really don't dare to be called a dragon among men. Sigh, young people are full of vigor. There's no need to be so humble. Otherwise, when you're old, you won't have the chance to be high profile like this old man." The old man in black laughed with a hoarse voice. Qin Feiyang looked at the old man's turbid eyes. He was indeed nearing the end of his lifespan, but there wasn't a trace of fear on the old man's face. He said calmly, "Junior still needs to learn more from Senior's temperament." The old man in black shook his head and said with a smile, "You're already a man with one foot in the grave. What's there to learn?" Mo Yizhen looked at Qin Feiyang and said respectfully, "Two lords, please take a seat." The two nodded. The pavilion master looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Little friend, let's have a good chat after the inauguration ceremony." "It's my honor," Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The pavilion master smiled and walked to the central seat with the old man in black. They turned around and sat side by side. The old man in black looked at everyone and said to Mo Yizhen, "Let's begin." "Yes." Mo Yizhen said respectfully and walked to the front of the stage. He looked around and said with a smile, "Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to attend the inauguration ceremony of our pavilion vice pavilion master." What followed was nothing more than a series of pleasantries. Qin Feiyang turned to look at young Master Hao and asked through voice transmission, "Your father didn't come? It's not the pavilion master's inauguration ceremony. What is he doing here?" Young Master Hao said with disdain. But before he finished speaking, 2 more people appeared in the sky. Yan Wei noticed it immediately. His pupils shrank and he shouted, "Chief Pavilion Master and the Temple Master of the Oracle Hall are here." Everyone was surprised and looked up. Immediately, everyone stood up and bowed to welcome them. What is the old man doing here? Young Master Hao was surprised. Qin Feiyang looked at the pavilion master and vice pavilion master. The two of them were also surprised. Obviously, they didn't know the chief pavilion master would come. Gong Sunbei smiled and said, "We came uninvited. You won't blame us, right?" Fu Anshan shuddered and hurriedly said, "No, no, this is our honor. Masters, please take a seat." The pavilion master and vice pavilion master also immediately gave up their seats. Gong Sunbei smiled and said, "Today, you are the hosts. We can't steal the limelight. Just find a place to sit." The two of them landed on the square and walked towards Qin Feiyang and the other two. Seeing this, everyone understood. They were going to sit with young Master Hao and the other two. The red-haired old man sitting next to Qin Feiyang and the leader of a super tribe immediately retreated to the side to make room. After the two of them sat down, young Master Hao turned to look at the two of them and secretly sent a voice transmission, "What are you doing here?" Gong Sunbei secretly laughed and said, "Little junior brother, you don't know this, right? Master is here to watch your performance." "Watch my performance?" Young Master Hao raised his eyebrows. Gong Sunbei said, "Didn't you tell me last time that you would expose Fu Anshan's true colors today?" "I see." Young Master Hao suddenly realized and chuckled, "Don't worry, I will definitely let you guys watch a good show. Then I'll look forward to it." Gong Sunbei smiled. Although the Chief Tower Master didn't say anything, there was a hint of anticipation in his eyes. The Pavilion Master looked at Mo Yizhen and said, "Let's cut the formalities and get started." "Yes." Mo Yizhen nodded, glanced at everyone present, and said with a smile, "Now, let's invite Steward Fu Anshan to come on stage." Hearing this, Fu Anshan took a deep breath and strode onto the high platform. "First of all, I would like to thank everyone for coming to participate in the succession ceremony, especially the Chief Tower Master. I am flattered. Secondly, I would like to thank the two Pavilion Masters. If it weren't for your nurturing, I wouldn't be where I am today. I hereby swear that in the future, I will do my best to manage the trading pavilion wholeheartedly and strive to bring the trading pavilion to the next level." Fu Anshan's impassioned speech. The applause continued. Qin Feiyang and young Master Hao were also applauding, but there was a hint of playfulness on their faces. After Fu Anshan finished his speech, Mo Yizhen took a step forward and said, "Then now, let's invite the Vice Pavilion Master to come on stage." The applause was thunderous. The old man in black got up and walked up the high platform shakily. He smiled and said, "We have all seen Fu Anshan's ability. With him helping this old man manage the trading pavilion, this old man can rest assured and enjoy the rest of his life." As he said that, he took out a square seal from his arms. The square seal was the size of a baby's fist. It was as white as jade, and there was a fire phoenix pattern engraved on it, emitting a hazy light. This was the Vice Pavilion Master's jade seal. As long as the jade seal was in Fu Anshan's hands, he would officially become the Vice Pavilion Master of the Trading Pavilion. So at this moment, he looked at the jade seal with unprecedented excitement in his heart. He couldn't suppress it even if he wanted to. The old man in black turned around, looked at Fu Anshan, and said with a smile, "Now this old man will give it to you. I hope you can cherish everything you have now." "I will." Fu Anshan nodded, bent down and stretched out his hands. "It's my turn." Young Master Hao laughed coldly. Qin Feiyang held him down and sent a sound transmission, "Wait a little longer." "Still waiting?" Young Master Hao raised his eyebrows, but he also heard Qin Feiyang's words. Because he knew that Qin Feiyang definitely had a reason for doing this. Moreover, if not for Qin Feiyang's help this time, he wouldn't have been able to grasp Fu Anshan's weakness. The old man in black lowered his head and looked at the jade seal. There was a trace of reluctance in his eyes, but in the end, he still handed it over to Fu Anshan. Finally. I've become the Vice Pavilion Master of the Trading Pavilion. Fu Anshan looked at the jade seal in his hand, his old eyes filled with excitement, feeling as if he was dreaming. Congratulations. This is a congratulatory gift that I have prepared. Vice Pavilion Master, please accept it. With a wave of the Qilan tribe's hand, an exquisite gift box flew towards Fu Anshan. Fu Anshan regained his senses and caught the gift box. Without even looking at it, he hurriedly thanked him. Thank you, Brother Wu. The other leaders and the Divine Python tribe's Grand Elder also sent out congratulatory gifts. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house also sent a jar of Dragon Phoenix wine. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was indifferent, the leader of the Vajra tribe chuckled and said, Brother Mu, I believe you have also prepared a congratulatory gift. Take it out and let us old fellows see it. That's right. With your identity, it must be something extraordinary. The leader of the Qilan tribe laughed. Although the chief tower master was present, their words didn't have any obvious intention of targeting him. They just treated it as a joke, so they weren't worried that they would anger the chief tower master. Although Fu Anshan knew, he didn't stand out to smooth things over. Chapter 1099. The other leaders also looked at Qin Feiyang curiously. All of a sudden, the atmosphere in the plaza became a little different. It's already an honor for little friend to be able to participate in the succession ceremony. It doesn't matter if you have a gift or not. Finally, it was the pavilion master of the trading pavilion who stood up to smooth things over. However, when he said this, not only did the atmosphere not ease, it became even weirder. Especially the leaders of the Qilan tribe and the Vajra tribe, the expressions on their faces were intriguing. As for the chief pagoda master and Gong Sun Bei, they had been silent the entire time, as if this matter had nothing to do with them. Qin Feiyang scanned the crowd and suddenly laughed. Of course, he knew what these people were thinking. They just wanted to see him embarrass himself in public. But how could such a thing happen to him? Senior, this junior is not someone who does not understand etiquette. For such a joyous occasion, I will definitely prepare a congratulatory gift. And as everyone said, it is indeed a few big gifts. Listen up, it's not one, it's a few. However, I can't take it out yet. Please allow this junior to keep you in suspense. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the pavilion master of the trading pavilion and smiled faintly. The pavilion master of the trading pavilion was slightly startled, and nodded with a smile, little friend, as you wish. What gift? So mysterious? The leaders looked at each other, their eyes filled with suspicion. Young Master Hao swept his gaze across the crowd, then looked at Fu Anshan who was standing on the high platform in high spirits, and sent a sound transmission. Brother Mu, do you still want to wait? No rush. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Next. The old man in black said a few more words of emotion, then left the platform and returned to his seat. Mo Yizhen took a step forward and said with a smile, the succession ceremony can be considered to have come to a perfect end. Now, I would like to invite everyone to the Dragon and Phoenix Pavilion. We have already prepared a banquet. Young Master Hao said anxiously, Brother Mu, if you don't make a move now, it will be too late. Qin Feiyang did not reply, and stared at Fu Anshan. Just as everyone heard Mo Yizhen's words and stood up, Fu Anshan also woke up from his excitement. Seeing that everyone was preparing to go to the Dragon and Phoenix Pavilion, he quickly put away the jade seal and stretched out his hand. Everyone, wait. Everyone turned around and looked at him suspiciously. Fu Anshan laughed, taking advantage of today's joyous occasion, I have another joyous occasion to announce. What good news? Everyone was curious. I believe many of you know that I lost my wife in my early years, leaving behind my only son, Fu Xiong. However, Fu Xiong died in a foreign land some time ago, so I plan to marry another wife to continue the line of the Fu family. Fu Anshan smiled. This is indeed a good thing. Double happiness. Brother Fu, congratulations, congratulations. I wonder which family's lady is so lucky to be chosen by Brother Fu. The chief of the Adamantine tribe asked. Her name is Li Yan. Fu Anshan said. Li Yan? Why does this name sound so familiar? Right, I remember now. She seems to be Li He's granddaughter. This, if I remember correctly, Li Yan is still a virgin. She actually married Fu Anshan. Is there a mistake? Don't tell me there's something fishy going on here. Everyone began to discuss in low voices. Everyone, please listen to me. I definitely didn't do anything to threaten Li Yan or her family. It's Miss Li Yan who doesn't mind an old man like me and is willing to marry me. Fu Anshan said. Hypocrite. Young Master Hao sneered secretly. This explanation was too deliberate. It was equivalent to revealing 300 taels of silver here. He glanced at Qin Feiyang. Seeing that Qin Feiyang wasn't surprised at all, he asked suspiciously, Brother Mu, don't tell me you knew about this long ago? Qin Feiyang smiled but didn't say anything. Hearing everyone's discussion, the pavilion master frowned and said, Fu Anshan, tell me clearly. Is Li Yan really willing? Fu Anshan hurriedly said, Sir, this is absolutely true. If you don't believe me, you can ask her herself. Where is she? Everyone scanned the crowd around the square. It's her. She's Li He's granddaughter, Li Yan. The crowd on the left suddenly became restless. Everyone looked over and saw Li Yan, accompanied by a middle-aged couple, slowly walking into the square. The middle-aged couple was Li Yan's parents. Fu Anshan went up to her with a smile and said, Miss Li Yan, please tell everyone. As he spoke, a hint of threat flashed across his eyes. Li Yan looked at him coldly and walked straight up the platform. Fu Anshan and the middle-aged couple followed closely behind her. The pavilion master looked at Li Yan and asked, Are you really willing to marry Fu Anshan? If it was voluntary, even if there was a huge difference in seniority and age between the two, outsiders couldn't say anything. Li Yan glanced at the crowd and remained silent. Fu Anshan couldn't help but become anxious and transmitted his voice, Now that I'm the deputy pavilion master of the transaction pavilion, you'd better not play any tricks. However, Li Yan turned a deaf ear to him and her gaze fell on Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang smiled and nodded. Li Yan took a deep breath and said, I didn't do it willingly. He threatened me. If I didn't marry him, he would deal with my Li family. The middle-aged couple shouted. Fu Anshan clenched his fists and a fierce glint flashed across his eyes. It was indeed a threat. I knew it. Li Yan is so young and beautiful. How could she like an old man? An old cow eating young grass. This Fu Anshan is too much. The crowd around the square was in an uproar. The pavilion master of the transaction pavilion frowned and said in a deep voice, Fu Anshan, give me an explanation immediately. Fu Anshan panicked and turned to look at Li Yan. Miss Li Yan, there are so many important people present. Don't joke around. As he spoke, he gave the middle-aged couple a look. That's right. Now is not the time to be willful. Quickly answer the pavilion master truthfully. The middle-aged couple was afraid that Fu Anshan would take revenge and hurriedly persuaded Li Yan in a low voice. No. I'm not joking. It's him. He repeatedly threatened my parents. He said that if I don't marry him, when he takes the position of deputy pavilion master, he will make my Li family disappear from the central divine kingdom. Li Yan shook her head and sneered. Fu Anshan's eyes suddenly became fierce. Clap. At this moment, a loud applause sounded in the square. Everyone looked in the direction of the sound and saw that the person clapping was Qin Feiyang. And Qin Feiyang's face was full of smiles. Fu Anshan raised his eyebrows and asked in confusion, "Brother Mu, why are you doing this?" Qin Feiyang slowly got up and said with a faint smile, "Are you wondering why Li Yan is suddenly not afraid of your threat?" Fu Anshan was shocked. Li Yan's sudden change of heart had something to do with this person? Didn't I just say that I prepared a few big gifts for you? Li Yan's counterattack is the first big gift. Qin Feiyang said. It seems that he already knew that Li Yan was threatened by Fu Anshan. But why did he help Li Yan? What is their relationship? Everyone was suspicious. Then, they looked at Fu Anshan. At this moment, his face was extremely gloomy. Originally, everything was flawless. Not only would he obtain supreme authority, he would also obtain a young and beautiful woman. It could be said that he would obtain both power and beauty. But he never expected that a demon would appear in the middle of the process. The pavilion master of the trading pavilion was about to explode. It was a good ceremony, but such a thing happened. It was a disgrace to the trading pavilion. He looked coldly at Fu Anshan and Qin Feiyang and said, "Young friend, you just said that Li Yan is only the first big gift. What about the rest?" The rest, Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and returned to his seat. He turned his head and nodded to young Master Hao. Young Master Hao had been waiting impatiently for a long time. After receiving Qin Feiyang's instruction, he immediately stood up. In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on young Master Hao, including the Chief Tower Master and Gongsun Bei. Young Master Hao walked to the high platform with his head held high and said, "Do you remember the deaths of Li He and Shen Feiyan some time ago?" "Of course. Both of them died mysteriously, and the real murderer has not been found yet." People discussed. Fu Anshan's body tightened. He looked at young Master Hao next to him and couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. He was guilty. Young Master Hao turned his head and looked at Fu Anshan suspiciously. "Why are you sweating? Is it hot?" "A little." Fu Anshan quickly nodded. Young Master Hao smiled mockingly. He looked at the crowd and said, "Everyone may think that the death of Li He and Shen Feiyun will become an unsolved case. But I can tell you clearly that it will never be. Because I have already found out who the murderer is." As soon as these words came out, Li Yan and the middle-aged couple suddenly turned their heads and looked at young Master Hao. Fu Anshan's body trembled and cold sweat couldn't stop coming out. Who is the real murderer? Li He is the steward of the trading pavilion and Shen Feiyun is an old friend of Gongsun Bei. Who has the guts to kill them? People were surprised. So were the leaders. "Young Master Hao, do you really know the real murderer who killed my grandfather?" Li Yan ran to young Master Hao and asked tearfully. "Yes." Young Master Hao nodded. "Who is so heartless to murder such a good person like my grandfather?" Li Yan cried sadly. "Don't be sad. The wicked will be punished sooner or later." Young Master Hao comforted her, then looked at the crowd and shouted, "The real murderer is the leader of the Divine Python tribe." "What? It's him." The crowd was in an uproar. Everyone's face was full of disbelief. Even the Chief Tower Master and Gongsun Bei were very surprised. Because the leader of the Divine Python tribe had always given everyone the impression that he was a law-abiding person. How could he do such a thing? How did he know? Fu Anshan, however, was extremely panicked. "Impossible!" An angry roar sounded. Everyone turned their heads and saw a red-haired old man staring at young Master Hao angrily. It was the Grand Elder of the Divine Python tribe. "Is that so?" Young Master Hao smiled playfully. The red-haired old man said in a deep voice, "Everyone knows the character of our leader. I dare to guarantee with my life that he would never do such a thing. Senior, don't be so sure. Do you really think you know your leader? Chapter 1100. The red-haired old man said angrily, I watched him grow up. Of course I know. Young Master Hao said, then do you know how Pei Changfeng died? Fu Anshan looked at young Master Hao in surprise. Why did he mention Pei Changfeng? Did he know the cause of Pei Changfeng's death? The red-haired old man said coldly, don't mention Pei Changfeng in front of me. Why? Young Master Hao asked. As the eldest son, he was born with the responsibility of leading our divine python tribe. However, not only did he not succeed the position of the chief, he even left and ran out alone. In the end, he died outside. Our divine python tribe doesn't have such an irresponsible person like him. The red-haired old man snorted coldly. Crack. In the crowd, a young man in white clenched his hands tightly. It was Pei Sai. If Pei Changfeng hears your words, he probably won't be able to rest in peace in the netherworld. Young Master Hao looked at the red-haired old man and shook his head with a sigh. The red-haired old man said, don't talk nonsense. In short, our leader is definitely not such a person. Alright, I won't argue with you. You'll understand how wrong you are in a bit. Young Master Hao smiled mockingly and turned to look at Fu Anshan. Now, I'll give you the second gift. Brother Shen, stewardly, come out. Brother Shen? Stewardly? Is he calling for Shen Feiyun and Li He? But aren't the two of them dead? Everyone looked at young Master Hao suspiciously. Li Yan, the middle-aged woman, and Fu Anshan were also bewildered. The scene fell into dead silence. Thud. Suddenly, a series of steady footsteps sounded. Two middle-aged men walked out of the crowd and stared at Fu Anshan with killing intent in their eyes. Who are you? Suddenly, the trading pavilion guards at the edge of the square stopped them. Young Master Hao shouted, let them in. The two guards' eyes trembled and they hurriedly retreated to the side. There was no suspense. Everyone's gaze once again converged on the two middle-aged men. The two of them entered the square and walked straight up the platform. The master of the transaction pavilion asked, you are? The two of them glanced at the owner of the trading pavilion before taking out a face-restoring pill and popping it into their mouths. Immediately, their appearances changed. In the end, an old man with white hair and a skinny middle-aged man appeared in front of the world. Who else could it be but Li He and Shen Feiyun? It's really them. They didn't die. The appearance of the two immediately caused a huge uproar. Brother Shen. Gongsun Bei suddenly stood up, gazing at Shen Feiyun. His face was filled with joy and disbelief. Grandpa, father, Li Yan and the middle-aged couple looked at Li He with tears in their eyes. They clearly died in front of my eyes. How can they still be alive? Impossible. This must be a dream. Fu Anshan shook his head frantically, his old face filled with disbelief. Grandpa, looking at the familiar face, Li Yan could no longer control her emotions. She threw herself into Li He's arms and cried bitterly. Li He's heart ached as well. He patted Li Yan's back and blamed himself, I'm sorry, Yan. It's Grandpa's fault. Grandpa didn't protect you immediately and let you suffer, no. As long as Grandpa is still alive. Li Yan sobbed as she hugged the old man tightly. She was afraid that the old man would disappear in front of her in the next moment. Father, the middle-aged couple walked up, their eyes red. Li He raised his head to look at the two of them. Anger rose in his heart as he shouted, in order to protect yourself, you didn't hesitate to sacrifice your own daughter. Are there any parents like you? Father, the middle-aged man wanted to explain. Enough. I don't want to hear anything now. When we go back, I'll slowly deal with you. Li He shouted coldly, his face filled with anger. The middle-aged couple looked at each other, their hearts filled with bitterness. Did they want to? They didn't want to either. No one in the world was willing to push their daughter into the fire pit. However, not only did Fu Anshan force them, but even the elders in the clan also forced them. What could they do? They could only compromise. Swish! At this moment, Gongsun Bei took a step forward and landed beside Shen Feiyun. He grabbed Shen Feiyun's shoulder, his hands trembling. Even if one looked carefully, there were tears in his eyes. Obviously, he really cared about Shen Feiyun. Shen Feiyun looked at him and a smile gradually appeared on his face. He said, I was wrong in the past. I apologize to you in front of everyone. No, no, no. I should be the one apologizing. Gongsun Bei shook his head and blamed himself. Enough. Let's not talk about the past. Now I just want to know, do you still recognize me as your big brother? Shen Feiyun asked, a little nervous. Of course. You've always been my big brother. Nothing has changed. Gongsun Bei nodded. A man doesn't cry easily. However, at this moment, the two middle-aged men hugged each other and couldn't help but shed tears. They finally reconciled. Wang Yu murmured. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, after experiencing a death calamity, one's state of mind will definitely change. Shen Feiyun can be considered to have profited from a disaster and saved this rare friendship. That's right. Speaking of which, I have to thank Fu Anshan and the leader of the Divine Python tribe. Wang Yu said, her gaze falling on Fu Anshan, a cold light flashing in her eyes. At the same time, Li He and Shen Feiyun also looked at Fu Anshan. Li He patted Li Yan's shoulder and said with a smile, Yan, you go down first. Grandpa needs to deal with some personal matters. Okay. Li Yan nodded obediently, and then left the high platform accompanied by the middle-aged couple. Gongsun Bei glanced at Fu Anshan, his eyes flashing slightly, and asked, Brother Shen, do you need my help? There's no need for you to come out for such a small matter. Shen Feiyun waved his hand, his eyes emitting a bone-chilling coldness. Gongsun Bei nodded and also left the high platform. Young Master Hao turned to look at Fu Anshan and said with a smile, Pavilion Master Fu, what do you think of this second gift from me? Fu Anshan shuddered and hurriedly said with a smile, this is a good thing. Everyone knows Li He's character. He's upright, honest, and selfless. His return is a great joy for our transaction pavilion. As he spoke, he walked in front of Li He, grabbed his hand, and sighed, Old Li, I was sad for a while when I heard the news of your death. Now that you've come back alive, I'm really happy. Thank you for your concern, Deputy Pavilion Master. Li He put on a fake smile. It's my duty. After all, you've contributed too much to our transaction pavilion. If you didn't have an accident, the position of Deputy Pavilion Master would definitely be yours. Fu Anshan smiled. Wang Yu said with disgust, this old thing really doesn't know what shame is. He's already come this far. What else can he do? Qin Feiyang shook his head with a smile, and then nodded at young Master Hao. Young Master Hao understood and said indifferently, Fu Anshan, quickly put away that hypocritical face of yours. It's disgusting to look at. Fu Anshan's face stiffened, and he asked in confusion, Young Master Hao, what do you mean? Young Master Hao glanced at him disdainfully, then looked at Li He and smiled, stewardly, Big Brother Shen, it's better for you to tell us. Who wants to harm you? Li He looked coldly at Fu Anshan, then turned to look at the Chief Tower Master and the others, and said, Lords, the person who plotted against me and Shen Feiyun is indeed the leader of the Divine Python tribe. The red-haired old man immediately roared, Li He, don't slander us. I'm only telling the truth. I'm not wronging anyone. Although the leader of the divine python tribe is the one who plotted against us, the real mastermind is him, Fu Anshan. Li He suddenly pointed at Fu Anshan and shouted. What? All the leaders stood up in unison and looked at Fu Anshan in shock. The pavilion master and the black-robed old man did not move, but their hands gripped the armrests of their chairs tightly, obviously trying to suppress their emotions. Nonsense. Li He, what exactly are you trying to do? Fu Anshan roared in exasperation. Li He looked at him coldly and said, "This old man doesn't want to do anything. This old man just wants to expose your true colors." Fu Anshan looked at the pavilion master and said, "Lord, Li He must be jealous that I succeeded the position of deputy pavilion master, so he framed me. Pavilion master, you must investigate clearly. Even now, you're still biting back at me. You're indeed a shameless dog." Li He did not hide his ridicule. Fu Anshan roared, "Li He, don't go too far. I'm truly happy for you that you came back alive. But you actually slandered me. What are your intentions? Happy for me? Come on, stop pretending. It makes me sick to my stomach." Li He looked down on him. "You," Fu Anshan was furious. The pavilion master slammed his palm on the armrest and roared, "Shut up." Fu Anshan looked at Li He and sneered, "Did you hear that? I told you to shut up." Li He looked at the pavilion master and said mockingly, "Are you telling me to shut up, or are you telling me to shut up? Do you really understand?" Fu Anshan was stunned and turned to look at the pavilion master. The pavilion master stared at Fu Anshan gloomily and said word by word, "I'm telling you to shut up." Fu Anshan's body stiffened, and his expression was extremely ugly. The pavilion master looked at Li He and Shen Feiyun and asked, "Why did he order the divine python tribe's leader to murder you?" "Pavilion master, Fu Anshan killed me because I hindered him from succeeding the position of deputy pavilion master. And he killed Shen Feiyun because Shen Feiyun killed his son, Fu Xiong, in Qinghai City. And in order to avenge Fu Xiong, he even sent his confidant, Fu Han, to Qinghai City to assassinate Ancestor Mu, young Master Hao, and Wang Yu, Li He said. "What?" The leaders were dumbfounded. They had a tacit understanding about Qin Feiyang and had the thought of getting rid of him. But young Master Hao and Wang Yu, one was the Chief Tower Master's biological son and the other was Wang Su's biological daughter. Who dared to touch them? Chapter 1101. Everyone looked at the Chief Pagoda Master again, only to see that his expression was indifferent, as if he was not angry. But everyone knew. If this was true, then Fu Anshan would definitely die a miserable death. Bastard! The pavilion master of the trading pavilion was also fuming with rage, and his lungs were about to explode. Swoosh! Suddenly, he landed on the high platform and slapped Fu Anshan's face in front of everyone. Ah! Fu Anshan screamed in pain and flew out on the spot. His nose was bruised and his eyes were swollen. But he could no longer care about the pain and hurriedly got up. He knelt in front of the pavilion master and exclaimed, "Sir, I'm innocent. Kneel properly and shut up." The pavilion master shouted and turned to look at young Master Hao. He asked with a smile, "Is there really such a thing?" Young Master Hao nodded. The pavilion master clenched his fists, his old eyes flashing with killing intent. He lowered his head to look at Fu Anshan and said in disappointment, "I really didn't expect you to do so many stupid things." "No, absolutely not." Fu Anshan hurriedly shook his head and looked at young Master Hao. "Young Master Hao, since you said that I sent someone to assassinate you, then take out the evidence." Young Master Hao said indifferently, "I don't have evidence, but as the son of the Chief Pagoda Master, would I lie? If you don't have evidence, what nonsense are you talking about?" Even if you are the son of the chief pagoda master, you can't slander others. Fu Anshan's heart calmed down a lot. Young Master Hao said playfully, are you thinking that as long as I don't have evidence, you still have a chance to turn things around? Fu Anshan's eyes flashed with mockery. He had seen the video of Fu Han's confession in young Master Hao's hands, but as long as he insisted that Fu Han was the one who carried him, then he would at most be accused of lax discipline and would not lose his life. You're too naive. Young Master Hao shook his head and smiled, looking at Qin Feiyang. Come out. Qin Feiyang said indifferently. Come out? Who is he calling out? Everyone was suspicious. Whoosh! Accompanied by the sound of the air being torn apart, Fatso grabbed the Heavenly Spiral tribe leader and the Divine Python tribe leader, and streaked across the sky and landed on the high platform in the square like lightning. What happened? Didn't the Grand Elder of the Divine Python tribe just say that their chief is dealing with an important matter? But why are you in Ancestor Mu's hands now, and in such a sorry state? His cultivation seems to have been crippled. Who is the other person? Right, he seems to be the leader of the Heavenly Spiral tribe. Yes, it's him. But wasn't he exiled to the First Zone? Why is he still in the Central Divine Kingdom? The various leaders were bewildered. Leader, meanwhile. The red-haired old man suddenly stood up and looked at the chief of the Divine Python tribe in disbelief. He thought of many possibilities. But he didn't expect this to be the result. He abruptly turned his head to look at Qin Feiyang. His hair stood on end as he roared, Ancestor Mu, what exactly did you and your big brother do to the leader? Big brother. Everyone's eyes trembled slightly. The Chief Tower Master also reacted for the first time. He raised his head and looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He stood up and said, Disciple will tell you the truth later. Master, please don't be anxious. The Chief Tower Master nodded and retracted his gaze. At the same time, Fu Anshan looked at the chief of the Divine Python tribe who was covered in blood. His face was filled with disbelief. What exactly happened? A dignified 8-star combat emperor actually fell into the hands of Qin Feiyang? Don't be nervous, you will definitely find a way to turn things around. Young Master Hao smiled mockingly at Fu Anshan. He looked at the chief of the Divine Python tribe and said, Tell everyone, did Fu Anshan order you to kill Shen Feiyun? Fu Anshan hurriedly said, Brother Pei, we have no enmity. Don't harm me. The red-haired old man also exclaimed, Leader, quickly tell everyone that this matter has nothing to do with you. You are innocent. The chief of the Divine Python tribe glanced at the red-haired old man and Fu Anshan with a gloomy expression. The chief of the Heavenly Spiral tribe looked at everyone with flickering eyes. Suddenly, the two of them looked at each other, and a cold light flashed in their eyes. Then, they looked at Qin Feiyang in unison. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth lifted. With a slight thought, he instantly erased the soul of the chief of the Heavenly Spiral tribe. Accompanied by a shrill scream, the chief of the Heavenly Spiral tribe died on the spot. What happened? Everyone was bewildered. Why did he suddenly die without any reason? The chief of the Divine Python tribe also turned his head abruptly and looked at the corpse lying on the ground in horror. I already said that I can peek into your inner thoughts. Why didn't you listen? A faint laughter sounded in the chief of the Divine Python tribe's mind. The chief of the Divine Python tribe quivered and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. He saw Qin Feiyang looking at him with a smile. Immediately, an uncontrollable fear emerged in his heart. Seeing that the chief of the Divine Python tribe was looking at Qin Feiyang, the others also looked at Qin Feiyang. They were extremely bewildered. Could it be that the death of the chief of the Heavenly Spiral tribe was related to this kid? But how exactly did he do it? They didn't see him make a move. He had been sitting there the whole time. Don't play any tricks. It's useless. Just be obedient. Maybe you can still live. Qin Feiyang sent a voice transmission to the chief of the Divine Python tribe without batting an eyelid. Since Fatso appeared with the two of them, he had been peeking into their inner thoughts. Just now, he saw that the two of them wanted to expose his true identity. Therefore, he erased the soul of the chief of the Heavenly Spiral tribe without hesitation. He did this to intimidate the chief of the Divine Python tribe. Obviously, he had achieved the effect he wanted. Fatso patted the chief of the Divine Python tribe hard and sighed inwardly. You're really naive. Boss never does anything that he's not confident of. Since he dares to let you appear in front of the Chief Tower Master alive, he definitely has full confidence that he won't let you speak. The chief of the Divine Python tribe trembled both physically and mentally. What kind of person was this? Why was he so terrifying? Fatso sent a voice transmission. Don't waste time. Tell us the truth. The chief of the Divine Python tribe powerlessly lowered his arm. He looked at the crowd and said, Young Master Hao is right. It was Fu Anshan who ordered me to kill Li He and Shen Feiyun. The reason for killing them is just as young Master Hao said. There was another huge uproar. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief. It can't be. When the red-haired old man heard this, it was like a bolt from the blue. His face turned pale. It was actually true. Why did it turn out like this? The chief in his memory would never do such a thing. Young Master Hao looked at him sympathetically and sighed. I told you, you might not know your chief well. The red-haired old man looked up at him and smiled sadly. Then, he looked at the chief of the Divine Python tribe and asked, Tell me, why did you collude with Fu Anshan? That's right. As the chief of a super tribe, how could he collude with someone like Fu Anshan? It's even more impossible for him to do things for Fu Anshan. Everyone was puzzled. The chief of the Divine Python tribe lowered his head and found it difficult to speak. Let me tell you. He helped Fu Anshan because Fu Anshan had something on him. Young Master Hao said. What do you mean? The red-haired old man asked. Young Master Hao was about to speak when a sigh suddenly sounded from the crowd. Young Master Hao, let me tell everyone about this personally. As soon as he finished speaking, a young man in white landed on the high platform. It was Pei Yi. Okay. Young Master Hao looked at Pei Yi deeply and retreated to the side. Pei Yi looked at the chief of the Divine Python tribe and couldn't help but sigh. He turned to look at the red-haired old man and said, Grand Elder, the evidence is that second uncle killed my father. The chief of the Divine Python tribe trembled violently. Everyone present was dumbfounded. Even the chief pagoda master was shocked. The red-haired old man was also dumbfounded. After recovering from the shock, he said angrily, what nonsense are you talking about? I'm not talking nonsense. I've known about this for a long time. I just didn't say it. Pei Yi shook his head. The chief of the Divine Python tribe immediately looked up at Pei Yi. He initially thought that Qin Feiyang was the one who told Pei Yi about it, but he didn't expect Pei Yi to say that he had known about it for a long time. Pei Yi also turned to look at the chief of the Divine Python tribe and said, Second uncle, you don't know, right? When I was young, I went to look for you once and happened to hear you and Pei Qin talking about this. The chief of the Divine Python tribe asked, Then why did you? Pei Yi said, You want to know why I didn't expose you? The chief of the Divine Python tribe nodded. Pei Yi smiled and said, Because you're my second uncle, my father's brother, and my family. You can be cold-blooded and heartless, but I can't. Hearing these words, the chief of the Divine Python tribe teared up. His heart melted. It was only at this moment that he realized how wrong he was in the past. I'm sorry, I've let you and your father down. He slowly knelt on the ground and buried his head in remorse. In this world, no one has let anyone down. You didn't do anything wrong, I didn't do anything wrong, and my father didn't do anything wrong either. It's the world that's wrong, let's put this matter behind us. From now on, you're still my second uncle and I'm still your nephew. Blood is thicker than water. Pei Yi looked down at the chief of the divine python tribe and smiled. He then nodded at Qin Feiyang and stepped into the air alone. That frail figure seemed especially lonely and desolate. Blood is thicker than water. The chief of the divine python tribe murmured and looked up at Pei Yi's back view with a smile. Yeah. We're family, but I'm already plagued with sins. Even if you can forgive me, I can't forgive myself. I'll entrust the future of the divine python tribe to you. When we reach the netherworld, I'll also tell your father that you're an outstanding child. Farewell. The chief of the divine python tribe smiled and looked at this world longingly before slamming his head against the ground, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Chief, the red-haired old man yelled and hurriedly rushed up to the platform. Has already forgiven you. Why did you still do such a foolish thing? I have to pay the price for my mistakes. Only death can wash away my sins. I'll leave him to you. He's a smart and capable child. You must assist him and become the chief of the divine python tribe. The chief of the divine python tribe grabbed the red-haired old man's hand and said intermittently. He maintained a smile on his face throughout. It was a smile of relief. There was no resentment. With that, he weakly let go of the red-haired old man's hand and his head slowly fell to the ground. He was dead. Chief, the red-haired old man hugged the corpse of the chief of the divine python tribe and wailed to the sky. At the same time, Pei Yi stopped in his tracks and turned to look at the platform. However, he did not say or do anything and left without looking back. Chapter 1102. Pei Yi left. No one knew where he went. On the high platform, the red-haired old man hugged the leader of the divine python tribe and howled in pain. Everyone was silent. They were filled with emotions. They didn't expect that Fu Anshan's matter would lead to another unsolved case. Pei Changfeng was actually assassinated by his own brother. That was too shocking. Qin Feiyang also sighed. He didn't expect that the leader of the divine python tribe would repent and choose to die to atone for his sins. The leader of the divine python tribe deserved to die, but Pei Yi actually let go of this hatred. His temperament is admirable. Wang Yuer sighed. If this happened to her, she would never be able to forgive the leader of the divine python tribe. Qin Feiyang said, "That's right. His temperament is something that no one in our younger generation can compare to." Wang Yuer was stunned. She turned to look at him and asked, "Does that include you?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. If he could get over it, he wouldn't have ended up like this. Wang Yuer said, "I'm really surprised that you're inferior to him. No one is perfect. My talent may be better than Pei Yi's, but my state of mind is far inferior to his." Qin Feiyang shook his head and said with a smile. Wang Yuer looked at him deeply and didn't say anything else. She turned to look at the high platform. Mr. Hao looked down at Fu Anshan, who was kneeling on the ground, and sneered. "Do you have anything to say now?" "It wasn't me, I was framed, Lord Pavilion Master, Lord Chief Tower Master. I beg you to investigate this matter thoroughly and clear my name." Fu Anshan shuddered and hurriedly cried out. When the leader of the divine python tribe appeared, he was indeed very scared and even desperate. But now, the leader of the divine python tribe was dead. Before his death, although the leader of the divine python tribe said that he was the one who instigated it, he didn't show any evidence. In other words, it could be taken as a one-sided statement from the leader of the divine python tribe. "Huh, you old man, you're really stubborn. However, I've long expected that you would continue to quibble. Mr. Hao shook his head and sneered. Young Master Hao, I don't know what you're talking about. However, if you insist on saying that all of this was instigated by me, then please take out ironclad evidence so that I will be convinced. Otherwise, you are wrongly accusing a good person. Fu Anshan raised his head to look at young Master Hao and said fearlessly. In his opinion, now that the chief of the divine python tribe was dead, there was no evidence. Even if young Master Hao knew the truth, he couldn't do anything to him without evidence. Young Master Hao looked at him and grinned. You call yourself a good man? Do you really think I don't have any evidence? If you have evidence, then take it out. Fu Anshan started to clamor. Because young Master Hao had admitted that he didn't have any evidence. Now that he said this, he must be trying to scare him and make him give himself away. What a joke. Who was Fu Anshan? How could he be fooled so easily? Alas! You really disappoint me. When I said that I didn't have any evidence, I just wanted you to admit it. I didn't expect you to deny it. Looks like I'm still too naive. I shouldn't have the slightest bit of sympathy for someone like you. You want evidence, right? I'll take it out now and let you know why you died. Young Master Hao took a deep breath, calmed down the anger in his heart, and took out the image crystal. Fu Anshan was surprised. Could it be that he really had evidence? No, he must be bluffing. He couldn't be scared by him. Buzz. The image crystal buzzed and trembled, and a stream of light flew into the sky. Immediately, an image slowly unfolded in the sky above the square. The image showed the conversation between Fu Anshan and Yen Wei in the study. In this conversation, Fu Anshan admitted that he had blackmailed the chief of the divine python tribe to kill Shen Feiyun and Li He. How is that possible? Looking at the image, Fu Anshan's face was full of disbelief. He clearly remembered that when he told Yen Wei about this, Qin Feiyang, young Master Hao, and Wang Yu had already left. But why did young Master Hao have this image? The square was dead silent. Only the conversation between Fu Anshan and Yen Wei continued to reverberate in the sky. Everyone looked up at the image with a trace of anger on their faces. It's too much. It's really too much. Such a despicable person, they actually let him succeed the position of Deputy Pavilion Master of the Exchange Pavilion. They are really blind. Kill. We must kill him, cut him into pieces. As soon as the image ended, the crowd around the square immediately roared with righteous indignation. Everyone be quiet, I have another image here for everyone to enjoy. Young Master Hao waved his hand, and another image appeared in the sky above the square. It was the image of Fu Han's confession. Oh my God! He really sent Fu Han to assassinate young Master Hao and Wang Yu, Does he think that he is the ruler of the Forgotten Continent? How dare he? The leaders were extremely shocked. No. Fu Han went behind my back, I didn't know. Fu Anshan roared. Yen Wei shook his head and landed in front of young Master Hao. He looked at Fu Anshan and said, Sir, now that things have come to this, you'd better admit it. You, Fu Anshan looked at him in shock. Yen Wei turned to look at the Chief Tower Master and the Pavilion Master, bowed and said, I can testify that everything young Master Hao said is true. Fu Anshan roared, Wei Yan, what are you doing? Are you crazy? I'm not crazy. I approached you in order to verify these things. Yen Wei said. What? Fu Anshan's body and mind trembled, and he said angrily, Who exactly are you? Who sent you here? It's me. Qin Feiyang stood up and said. Fu Anshan felt as if he was struck by lightning, and his mind rumbled. It was actually Qin Feiyang's men. Qin Feiyang said, I don't easily cause trouble, but I'm never afraid of trouble, so when Fu Han confessed, I asked Wei Yan to approach you. Everyone looked at each other. He had already started to make arrangements so early, this person was too scary. When Fu Anshan heard this, he immediately collapsed to the ground powerlessly, his face full of despair. Young Master Hao said, "Actually, we could have exposed your true colors a long time ago, but do you know why we didn't do so?" "Why?" Fu Anshan looked at him suspiciously. "I'll let you be proud first. The more proud you are, the more painful it will be when you fall. Of course, the more happy we are." Young Master Hao laughed. Fu Anshan said, "So, you waited until today on purpose." "That's right. When you happily succeed as the Deputy Pavilion Master, when you think that you have achieved great success, we will stand out to expose you and make you fall into a bottomless abyss. Let me ask, what in the world is more uncomfortable and painful than this?" Young Master Hao chuckled. Fu Anshan smiled bitterly. He thought that everything was under control, but he didn't know that he had been living in someone else's scheme. How stupid. Also, some time ago, Brother Mu made you kneel in front of the main tower gate to tease you. First, he made you despair, then he let you see hope, and finally he made you despair again. Tell everyone, how does this feel? Young Master Hao teased. Fu Anshan smiled bitterly and said, "Then what's going on with Li He and Shen Feiyun? I saw them die with my own eyes." Li He said, "You saw with your own eyes that it wasn't us. Then who was it?" Fu Anshan was suspicious. "It's the sons of the divine Python tribe, Pei Yu and Pei Lang. This was also a trap set up by Ancestor Mu. He sneaked into the divine Python tribe to save Shen Feiyun and me, and then let Pei Yu and Pei Lang pretend to be us. Thus, the people you all killed back then were them." Li He said. "It can't be, there are actually so many things that we don't know about. Is this Ancestor Mu the reincarnation of a monster? How could he do it so seamlessly?" The leaders looked at Qin Feiyang, their eyes full of fear. The leaders of the Vajra tribe and the Qilan tribe, who had always wanted to target Qin Feiyang, couldn't help but feel afraid. "So that's how it is, he, huh," Fu Anshan muttered to himself and laughed out loud. After all his scheming, this was the result he got in the end. Laughable, laughable. Do you understand now? In this forgotten continent, you still don't have the ability to cover the sky with one hand. Young Master Hao laughed coldly, then turned around and walked down the platform, towards the Chief Tower Master. At this moment, everyone looked at young Master Hao in a different light. In the past, they all thought that young Master Hao was just a hedonistic son who relied on the Chief Tower Master to abuse his power, but they didn't expect him to be so shrewd. Young Master Hao laughed, "Father, how is it? My performance is not bad, right?" "Very good." The Chief Tower Master nodded, extremely gratified. This trip was indeed not in vain. Hand over the Vice Pavilion Master's jade seal for this old man. Suddenly, a furious roar exploded like a clap of thunder. Everyone turned their heads to look, only to see the Pavilion Master of the Trade Pavilion grabbing onto Fu Anshan's neck like an enraged lion. But Fu Anshan did not have the slightest reaction, his face full of a bitter smile. The Pavilion Master of the Trade Pavilion waved his hand and forcefully snatched away Fu Anshan's universe bag. Then, he threw Fu Anshan on the ground and said coldly, "A person like you cannot be allowed to live." Fu Anshan's gaze trembled, and he finally came back to his senses. He immediately knelt on the ground and begged, "Pavilion Master, this lowly one knows his wrongs. This lowly one will definitely change, please let this lowly one off this time. After committing such a heinous crime, you still want this old man to let you off? Are you dreaming?" The Pavilion Master of the Trade Pavilion was furious. He waved his old hand and directly slapped Fu Anshan's head. Ah, crack! Accompanied by a shrill scream, Fu Anshan's head exploded on the spot, blood splattering everywhere. It's finally over. Wang Yu muttered. Qin Feiyang said, this is what he deserves. No one present sympathized with Fu Anshan, and their eyes were incomparably cold. The pavilion master of the trade pavilion shouted, men, drag him down and feed him to the dogs. 2 guards hurriedly ran up to the high platform, dragging Fu Anshan's corpse and hurriedly running away. The red-haired old man picked up the corpse of the divine python tribe's leader, stood up, and said, Pavilion Master, I will also take my leave. My condolences. The pavilion master comforted him. Chapter 1103. After the red-haired old man left, the pavilion master glanced at the corpse of the heavenly spiral tribe's chief, then looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, young friend, what happened to him? Qin Feiyang said, last night, he and the divine python tribe's chief were in cahoots. They disguised themselves as Pei Yi and tricked me into coming to Black Cloud Valley to harm me. In the end, my big brother appeared and crippled their cultivation. Everyone's pupils shrank. Even the divine python tribe's chief was crippled. This person's big brother was too terrifying. Then where is your big brother now? Gong Sunbei asked. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, he left after crippling the 2 of them. I don't know where he is now. Gong Sunbei raised his eyebrows and turned to look at the chief pavilion master. The chief pavilion master smiled faintly and said nothing. Seeing this, Gong Sunbei also fell silent. The transaction pavilion's pavilion master looked at Qin Feiyang meaningfully and shouted, men, take his corpse away for this old man. 2 more guards ran up and dragged the heavenly spiral tribe's chief's body away. Fatso, Shen Feiyun, Li He, and Yen Wei also left the high platform. The pavilion master said, Li He, wait a moment. Li He was stunned and returned to the high platform, standing beside the pavilion master. Wang Yu chuckled and said, later, Li He will definitely be announced as the pavilion master. That's inevitable. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. The pavilion master glanced at the people present and bowed. This old man is deeply sorry for what happened today. These things are not what you want to see. Let bygones be bygones. Don't mention it again. Yes, as long as it doesn't lead to a bigger mistake. The chiefs laughed. Thank you for your understanding. Now, this old man will personally announce that the next deputy pavilion master will be Li He. The pavilion master took out the jade seal and handed it to Li He, apologizing. I'm sorry to have wronged you. The sudden surprise left Li He somewhat at a loss on what to do. The pavilion master smiled and said, this is what you deserve and what we owe you. Take it and manage the pavilion well. Don't let down this old man's expectations of you. Li He glanced at the pavilion master, bowed, and received the jade seal. I will do my best. Thank you, pavilion master. Alright, say a few words to everyone. The pavilion master of the trading pavilion patted Li He's shoulder and walked down the high platform towards the black-clothed old man. He looked rather haggard. No matter who it was, they would definitely be mentally and physically exhausted after something like this happened. Li He was not as hypocritical as Fu Anshan. He stood on the high platform and said a few words from the bottom of his heart, then told everyone to move to the Longfeng pavilion. A banquet was definitely a must. After all, many people had come from afar. He couldn't just send them away like that, right? For a moment, all the leaders opened the teleportation gate and headed to the Longfeng pavilion. However, the chief tower master and Gongsun Bei did not go. They nodded to the pavilion master of the trading pavilion and left. Li He put away the jade seal and landed in front of Qin Feiyang and the others. He smiled and said, Brother Mu, young master, how, miss you, I really have to thank you properly. What about me? Don't turn your back on us as soon as you become the deputy pavilion master. You have to know that I've contributed a lot too. Fatso looked at Li He unhappily. Li He shook his head and laughed. How could this old man forget you? Then, he looked at Yen Wei and cupped his hands. And you, thank you. It's fine. Yen Wei waved his hand. Li He glanced at them and said, in short, no matter what, you can't decline today. You have to go to the Longfeng Pavilion and let me thank you properly. My pleasure. Young Master Hao said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, I still have something to deal with, so I won't join in the fun. Young Master Hao was instantly annoyed and said, Brother Mu, you're really boring, you know that? Li He was also unhappy. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and said, I really have something to do. Sorry. Seeing that Qin Feiyang had made up his mind, Li He could not force him anymore. He shook his head and said helplessly, It's really difficult to treat you to a meal. All right, go and deal with it. Anyway, there's still a long way to go. Let's meet again another day. Thank you. Qin Feiyang smiled and opened the teleportation gate and walked in. Fatso and Yen Wei looked at each other and quickly followed. Li He shook his head and looked at Wang Yu with a smile. Miss Yu, what about you? I'm not going either. You guys have fun. Wang Yu looked at the dissipating teleportation gate and said to Li He with a smile. Then, she opened the teleportation gate and left. This, Li He could not keep his face any longer. Young Master Hao patted Li He on the shoulder and said with a smile, If Brother Mu doesn't go, your sister definitely won't go either. Forgive me. What do you mean? Li He looked at him suspiciously. Young Master Hao said, Can't you tell? Right now, my sister's attention is all on someone. Someone? Li He was stunned for a moment before coming to a realization and smiled. Seems like we'll have a wedding banquet before long. Wedding banquet? Let's hope so. Let's not talk about it anymore. Let's go. I'll have a few drinks with you today. Young Master Hao pulled Li He towards the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion in high spirits. Main Pagoda. In the pavilion, there were standard items on the stone table. The main pagoda master stood beside the stone table, holding a brush and staring at the white paper on the table calmly. Beside him, Gongsun Bei remained silent and stood respectfully. Suddenly, the main pagoda master waved his brush and wrote a word on the paper. This word was wisdom. The main pagoda master looked at the word wisdom and put down his brush. He sat on the stone bench and asked, Gongsun Bei, do you know why I wrote this word? Yes. Gongsun Bei nodded. Tell me about it. The main pagoda master said. Wisdom represents wisdom, and ability. As the ancients say, a wise man can conquer the world. If I'm not wrong, Lord wrote this word for Ancestor Mu. Gongsun Bei said. That's right. I wrote it for him. Hao-er's performance today made me very happy, but I understand that all of this is Ancestor Mu's manipulation. He is a truly wise and resourceful person. The main pagoda master said. Gongsun Bei's pupils shrank as he asked in a low voice, Lord, are you worried? The main pagoda master said, I can't help but worry because his existence will pose a great threat to Hao-er. If he's willing, he can easily play Hao-er in the palm of his hand. I think that Lord is overthinking. Because according to my observation, Ancestor Mu is not an ambitious person. Gongsun Bei said. The affairs of the world are unpredictable. The main pagoda master deeply sighed. Gongsun Bei said, if Lord is still worried, I can make him disappear immediately. The main pagoda master fell silent. Gongsun Bei's eyes flashed as he said, Lord, please forgive this subordinate for speaking bluntly. Although Ancestor Mu is a great threat to junior apprentice brother, from another perspective, his appearance can be considered an opportunity for junior apprentice brother. What do you mean? The main pagoda master asked. Think about it, with Ancestor Mu's intelligence, if he's willing to fully support Junior Apprentice Brother, who will be able to shake Junior Apprentice Brother's position in the Forgotten Continent in the future? Gong Sanbei said. The main pagoda master's eyes lit up, but he then frowned and said, what you said is just an if. So first, we need to confirm whether or not he's an ambitious person, and not kill a rare talent in the cradle. Gong Sanbei said. The main pagoda master said, are you saying that I'm jealous? This subordinate wouldn't dare. If this subordinate has any doubts, please forgive me, Lord. Gong Sanbei hurriedly bowed. The main pagoda master looked at the garden in front of him, his eyes flashing as he suddenly asked, tell me honestly, have you ever hated me over the years? No. It's because Lord has given me everything that I have today. I'm already very satisfied. Gong Sanbei lowered his head and said. The main pagoda master smiled and said, if Ancestor Mu has the same resolve as you, it's not impossible for him to stay by Hao Bear's side. Gong Sanbei inwardly let out a sigh of relief and smiled as he said, then let this subordinate take care of this matter. The main pagoda master nodded and said, give me an answer as soon as possible. Okay. Gong Sanbei nodded before turning and leaving. The main pagoda master got up and walked out of the pavilion. Looking at the clear sky, he muttered, life is short, don't not cherish it. These words did not seem to be directed at himself. What he did not know was that not too far away, there was a colorful little snake hiding in the flower bed. It was so small that it was almost invisible to the naked eye. Calm Heart Lake. In the pavilion's hall, Fatso looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, Boss, what do you need to deal with? Yen Wei also looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. It's nothing. Qin Feiyang shook his head and sat beside the tea table. Fatso and Yen Wei were surprised. Yen Wei was puzzled, since it's nothing, why don't we go to the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, this time, the people going to the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion are all big shots of the Forgotten Continent. If I go, I will have to entertain them. I don't have the energy. I see. You're just afraid of trouble. Yen Wei said. That's right. The matter is basically over. You guys don't have to run around. Go to the castle and cultivate. Qin Feiyang said. Yen Wei was slightly surprised and asked, then the Mu clan's nest and the mysterious person who bought the herbs, are we not going to look for them? Not anymore. Qin Feiyang waved his hand. After searching for so long, he still hadn't found anything. It would be a waste of time to continue searching. All right. Yen Wei nodded his head. Buzz. Suddenly, Fatso took out the image crystal. A beautiful white figure appeared. It was Li Yen. Li Yen asked without hesitation, damn Fatso, where are you now? I'm with my boss, what are you doing? Fatso was suspicious. Come to the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion immediately. After Li Yen finished speaking, the shadow dissipated. What do you mean? Fatso looked at Qin Feiyang and Yen Wei in a daze. Qin Feiyang and Yen Wei looked at each other, and a smile appeared on their faces at the same time. What are you guys laughing at? Fatso frowned. Qin Feiyang said, you're not bad. Fatso said angrily, what is it? Can you make it clear? Yen Wei rolled his eyes, and said snappily, don't you understand? The girl has taken a fancy to you. Taken a fancy to me? Fatso pointed at his nose, his face filled with disbelief. Such a beautiful woman like Li Yen would take a fancy to him? You must be joking. Isn't this what you want? Hurry up and go. Don't make her wait too long. Chapter 1104. Good, good, good. Fatso nodded, and opened the teleportation gate in joy. But as soon as he stepped into the teleportation gate, he retracted his foot. The smile on his face disappeared and was replaced by a hint of disappointment. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang and the other man looked at him suspiciously. It's better not to go. Fatso shook his head. Why? The two of them were puzzled. It wasn't easy for him to get lucky in love, but he didn't go. This wasn't Fatso's style. After the incident with Chu Xian, Fat Lord has realized that Fat Lord is not suitable to fall in love at the moment. Fatso sighed. Yen Wei asked, "What do you mean?" It means that boss's identity will be exposed sooner or later. At that time, the two of us will naturally become the public enemy of the Forgotten Continent along with boss. If something really happens between Li Yan and me now, when boss's identity is exposed, we will only be in more pain. Fatso sighed deeply and said. Yen Wei was stunned, and nodded, "That's true." Fatso said, "So, it's better not to talk about feelings now, lest she gets into trouble because of our true identity." Yen Wei shook his head and laughed, "I didn't realize that you were looking so far ahead." Indeed. If Fatso and Li Yan really became a couple now, then when their identities were exposed, Li Yan would definitely be implicated. Even if she wasn't implicated, Li Yan would still be in a dilemma. Fatso turned to look at Qin Feiyang, and laughed, "Boss, send us to the castle. Right now, cultivation is more important, let's put aside our personal affairs." "All right." Qin Feiyang nodded, and with a wave of his arm, the two of them disappeared. Then he sat in front of the coffee table, muttering to himself. To be honest, he was really surprised that Fatso could have such awareness. But from another point of view, he was not even as good as Fatso. Because Fatso had already seen the future and made a choice. And he was still living in a dream. She was always entangled with Wang Yuer and young Master Hao. If this continued, just as Fatty had said, everyone would fall into a painful situation in the end. Looks like I have to settle this as soon as possible. Qin Feiyang mumbled. Wang. Suddenly, the image crystal recalled. Qin Feiyang took out an image crystal, and the phantom of the Phantom Serpent Emperor appeared. He smiled mischievously and said, "I have a piece of bad news and a piece of good news. Which one do you want to hear first?" Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said, "Tell me the bad news first." The Phantom Serpent Emperor said, "After seeing your performance during the succession ceremony, the Chief Pagoda Master thinks that you are too smart. He is afraid that you will threaten young Master Hao's position and wants to eliminate you." Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and said, "What's the good news?" The Phantom Snake Emperor said, "The good news is that Gongsun Bei is speaking up for you. The Chief Pagoda Master has temporarily withdrawn his killing intent towards you." "Why is Gongsun Bei helping me?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "I don't know. But just now, the Chief Pagoda Master asked Gongsun Bei a strange question." The Phantom Serpent Emperor said. "What question?" Qin Feiyang asked. "He asked Gongsun Bei if he hated him all these years." Gongsun Bei replied that he didn't hate him and said that he was already very satisfied with everything he had now. "I feel that there seems to be an unknown grudge between the two of them." The Phantom Serpent Emperor pondered. An unknown grudge. Qin Feiyang also fell into deep thought. The Phantom Serpent Emperor shook his small head and said, "You can slowly think about this matter. I will continue to monitor the Chief Pagoda Master. In addition, Gongsun Bei should be looking for you later. You should be mentally prepared." "Okay." Qin Feiyang nodded. When the phantom of the Phantom Serpent Emperor disappeared, Qin Feiyang put away the image crystal and continued to lower his head and ponder. As expected. Not long after the conversation ended, Gongsun Bei descended in the sky above Qin Feiyang's courtyard. Sensing Gongsun Bei's aura, Qin Feiyang let out a long breath, got up and walked out of the attic. He smiled and said, Brother Gongsun, you are busy with work. How come you have time to come to Soothing Heart Lake? You are Brother Shen's savior. No matter how busy I am, I will definitely take the time to thank you properly. Gongsun Bei landed in front of Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, let's talk inside. Okay. Gongsun Bei nodded. The two of them entered the attic. Qin Feiyang made tea and said with a smile, Brother Gongsun and Brother Shen have a good relationship. Gongsun Bei said, in my eyes, he is my biological brother. Qin Feiyang said, I really envy your friendship. Gongsun Bei smiled and said, aren't you and young master Hao the same? What is there to envy? Qin Feiyang shook his head and poured a cup of tea. He stepped back in front of Gongsun Bei and said, I don't know if Brother Gongsun has heard of the saying, being with a king is like being with a tiger. Gongsun Bei's heart trembled. He calmly picked up the teacup and tasted it. His eyes lit up and he said in surprise, this should be the tea leaves made by the pavilion master of the trading pavilion, right? Yes. The last time I went to his place, he gave me some. Qin Feiyang said. Gongsun Bei said, Tisk, tsk, tsk. You have a lot of face. What do you mean? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. To tell you the truth, I went to him more than once to ask for these tea leaves, but he was unwilling to give me even one. It really is like the old saying, the older you are, the stingier you are. Gongsun Bei shook his head helplessly. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, if Brother Gongsun likes it, I will give you some later. That's fine. Gongsun Bei immediately beamed. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, Brother Gongsun, you didn't come here just to thank me, did you? If you have something to say, just say it. Well, Gongsun Bei found it hard to speak. Qin Feiyang said, actually, I know why you came to me even if you don't say it. Gongsun Bei looked at him in surprise. Qin Feiyang didn't want to talk nonsense. He smiled and said, you can tell Master not to worry. I have no interest in the position of Chief Tower Master at all. I was wondering why you would say, being with a king is like being with a tiger. It turns out that you have already seen through it. Gongsun Bei smiled bitterly. This kid's mind was getting scarier and scarier. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, power is just a passing cloud. What I want is strength. Only with strength can I be qualified to stand above the heavens. Gongsun Bei's heart trembled. He didn't expect this kid in front of him to see through it so thoroughly. Even he felt inferior to this state of mind. Gongsun Bei said, then, if I ask you to assist young Master Hao, what will you say? Qin Feiyang shook his head without hesitation and said, I won't assist anyone. Gongsun Bei wasn't surprised at all. Qin Feiyang continued, however, if he needs it, I will help him. However, I won't help him too much, because everyone needs to learn to be independent. If he needs to ask for help from others every time he encounters a problem, then he will never be able to become a true king. Gongsun Bei shook his head and smiled. To be honest, I really don't like you. Because you are too smart, so smart that it scares people. Brother Gongsun, aren't you also a smart person? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Why do you say that? Gongsun Bei was startled and asked curiously. In the past, I couldn't figure out why you hinted at me, why you helped me, why you said that we were the same kind of people, and why you yearned for freedom so much. After a period of calm thinking, I finally figured it out. You are the first person to voluntarily withdraw. Qin Feiyang said. Gongsun Bei's pupils shrank. Qin Feiyang smiled. Brother Gongsun, there is no one else here. Why don't you tell me? Gongsun Bei looked at Qin Feiyang, his eyes flickering. After a long time, Gongsun Bei shook his head and smiled. Kid, you are smart, but sometimes you are very stupid. How can you casually discuss such a serious topic? Qin Feiyang said, don't you feel uncomfortable keeping it in your heart? A guess was always a guess. If the person involved didn't admit it personally, it wouldn't be true. Gongsun Bei smiled faintly. Of course it's uncomfortable. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, I'm a very good listener. You kid, it seems that if I don't say it today, you won't let it go. Gongsun Bei smiled helplessly. Yes, as you said, I am the first person to voluntarily withdraw. Qin Feiyang held a teacup, drinking tea while listening quietly. It turned out that back then, when Gongsun Bei obtained the inheritance in the land of inheritance, some old monsters in the main tower intended to let him inherit the position of the next main tower master. After all, anyone who could obtain the inheritance, no matter which generation's main tower master it was a promising talent. This matter also quickly reached the ears of the main tower master. He definitely wouldn't allow this to happen, so he went to talk to Gongsun Bei. The young Gongsun Bei was also young and frivolous. In addition, he obtained the inheritance, so he was naturally dissatisfied with the attitude of the main tower master. He even had a falling out with the main tower master in private. However, no matter how talented he was only a disciple at that time. How could he fight against the main tower master who controlled the Forgotten Continent? In the end, faced with the main tower master's pressure from all sides, he could only helplessly compromise and voluntarily withdraw. But he knew that even if he voluntarily withdrew, the main tower master might not let him go. Because no one would let a hidden danger live in the world forever. So he swore. In this life, he would always stay by the main tower master's side and serve the main tower master wholeheartedly. It was because of this that he escaped a disaster and lived until today. But it was also because of this that their master-disciple relationship broke. From then on, Gongsun Bei never called the main tower master again. He always called him Lord. This is my past. Gongsun Bei smiled faintly. It's similar to what I thought. Qin Feiyang muttered, asking, don't you hate him? I used to hate him. Gongsun Bei smiled faintly, then stood up and said, I said these things not because I really feel uncomfortable, but because I want to tell you a truth. Man can never fight against the heavens. After saying that, Gongsun Bei opened the portal and left. Man can never fight against the heavens, Qin Feiyang muttered. Gradually, the corners of his mouth rose into a mocking smile. He was not mocking Gongsun Bei. Because Gongsun Bei was right. Man can never fight against the heavens. But was the main tower master the heavens? Chapter 1105. The next day. Qin Feiyang woke up from his cultivation early in the morning. I wonder how Pei Yi is doing now. He muttered to himself. Not only did he feel sympathy for Pei Yi, but he also felt an inexplicable emotion. Even he himself couldn't explain his emotions. Anyway, he just wanted to help Pei Yi. Buzz. He got up and opened the portal, appearing in Pei Yi's alchemy room. However, there was no one there. Where could he be? Qin Feiyang began to ponder. All of a sudden, his eyes lit up and he opened another portal, descending in the sky above a valley. In the valley, the lush green weeds swayed in the wind. The wildflowers were in full bloom, and their fragrance wafted through the air. There was a small lake in the middle of the valley, and the water was so clear that one could see the bottom. At this moment, a young man in white was sitting alone by the lake, staring at the rippling surface of the lake. It was Pei Yi. I knew you'd be here. Qin Feiyang landed beside Pei Yi and said with a faint smile. This valley was the place where he barbecued meat with the group of children previously. Pei Yi turned to look at him and continued to look at the lake. Aren't you afraid that I'll flare up at you? Qin Feiyang said, if you were such a person, I wouldn't have come. Pei Yi shook his head and smiled. How did you know I was here? It's simple. You often bring those children here for barbecued meat, which means that this is a pure land in your heart. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Pei Yi sighed. I didn't expect that the person who knows me the best in this world would be you, someone who doesn't know me well. Yeah. I'm also very confused. We don't know each other well, but why do I want to help you so much? Qin Feiyang said softly. Help me? Pei Yi was stunned. Qin Feiyang took out 3 potential pills, 2 potential pills, and a small creation pill. He smiled and said, Take them. What kind of pills are these? Pei Yi looked at the pills suspiciously. These are pills that can make you reborn. Qin Feiyang said. He then released his sacred power and helped Pei Yi unlock 6 levels of potential. The surprise came too abruptly, and Pei Yi still felt like he was in a dream even after the 6th level of the door of potential was opened. After an unknown period of time, he came back to his senses. He looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, Why are you helping me? I don't know either. Maybe it's because your experience has touched the soft spot in my heart. However, no matter what the reason is, I hope that you can properly cherish everything that you have right now. Qin Feiyang smiled and took out 2 more pills. One was the 9 Revolution Dragon Blood pill, and the other was the small creation pill. This small creation pill is for you to use and you become a 9-star battle saint to open the door to the 7th level of potential. As for this pill, it has a certain probability of allowing you to break through a small realm. You can take it now or wait until you've broken through to the battle saint realm. Qin Feiyang handed the 2 pills to Pei Yi. Thank you. Pei Yi grabbed the 2 pills. As for the origin of these pills, he had no intention to ask about them. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, You don't have to thank me. I just hope that you can show mercy to me when we become enemies in the future. Enemies? Pei Yi was slightly stunned. Then, he looked at the lake and wondered if there would really be such a day. Ancestor Mu, how dare you come to the divine python tribe? All of a sudden, an angry roar was heard. A red-haired old man flew through the air and landed opposite Qin Feiyang and Pei Yi. His old face was full of anger. It was the Grand Elder of the divine python tribe. Pei Yi looked up at the red-haired old man and said, Grand Elder, don't be rude. The red-haired old man said angrily, What are you doing? He's the one who ruined the reputation of the divine python tribe. That's the truth. Even if he doesn't say it, people will find out sooner or later. Pei Yi said. What about Pei Yu and Pei Lang? Do they deserve to die too? The red-haired old man hollered. Pei Yi said, Have you ever thought about why second uncle chose Pei Yu and Pei Lang over Pei Zhe and Pei Luo because they're all second uncle's sons? The red-haired old man frowned. Pei Yi said, Because they're good-for-nothings. Even if they don't die in the hands of Ancestor Mu, they'll die in the hands of others sooner or later. They're all your family. How can you say that about them? The red-haired old man looked at Pei Yi in disbelief. I know. But have they ever treated me as their family? I believe I don't need to tell you this. You should know it in your heart. Pei Yi said calmly. Ah. The red-haired old man sighed deeply. In fact, he was not the only one who knew. Everyone in the divine python tribe knew that Pei Yu and Pei Lang had always disliked Pei Yi. They even harbored ill intentions towards him. It was no wonder that Pei Yi was so cold. The red-haired old man glanced at Qin Feiyang and humphed coldly. No matter what, the divine python tribe doesn't welcome this person now. I don't plan to go to the divine python tribe either. Qin Feiyang said calmly. He turned to look at Pei Yi, cupped his fists, and said with a smile, I've done what I should do. I'll take my leave first. Okay. Pei Yi nodded. Qin Feiyang opened the portal and left. The red-haired old man walked in front of Pei Yi and said earnestly, "Yi, listen to me. Don't interact with him too much in the future." Pei Yi said, "Listen to me too. Don't provoke him in the future. He's not someone we can afford to offend." The red-haired old man looked at the disappearing portal and frowned subtly. Back to Qin Feiyang. He did not return to Calming Lake. Instead, he descended on Black Cloud Valley. There were some things that he had to put an end to. He took out the image crystal. Buzz. Soon, Mr. Hao's image appeared. "What are you doing so early in the morning?" Mr. Hao was still a little tipsy, probably because he drank too much last night. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Get Wang Yu and come to Black Cloud Valley immediately." Mr. Hao was stunned and said impatiently, "If you have something to say, just say it. Why do you have to go to Black Cloud Valley? Just come. What's with the nonsense?" Qin Feiyang snorted and turned off the image crystal. He entered the ancient castle and started refining pills. Time passed by quickly. About half an hour passed. Mr. Hao and Wang Yu finally arrived at Black Cloud Valley. Qin Feiyang had already come out of the ancient castle. Looking at Qin Feiyang, Mr. Hao said unhappily, "Why did you wake me up so early in the morning? Let me tell you, if you don't have anything important to say today, I'm not done with you." Wang Yu did not say anything and just looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang took out 2 jade boxes and handed them to the two of them. He smiled and said, "One for each of you." "What is it?" Mr. Hao was suspicious. "See for yourself," Qin Feiyang said. The two of them took the jade boxes and opened them. They were immediately stunned. Only to see 7 medicinal pills lying quietly inside the jade box. Mr. Hao looked at the 7 pills suspiciously and then looked up at Qin Feiyang and asked, "What kind of pills are these?" "These 3 are potential pills. They can open the door of potential from the 1st to the 3rd level. These 2 are potential pills. They can open the door of potential from the 4th to the 5th level. These 2 are small fortune pills. They can open the door of potential from the 6th to the 7th level." Qin Feiyang explained them one by one. "What? There are pills that can open the door of potential?" The two of them were dumbfounded. Qin Feiyang ignored the two of them and continued, potential pills, and small fortune pills can only be taken when one is at the 9-star realm. For example, Wang Yu, you're a 9-star battle saint now, so you can take them. But if you need the help of pressure, you can look for your parents and grandfather. As for Brother Hao, you're a 1-star battle saint now. You can only take them when you're a 9-star battle saint. These precautions must be made clear, or else someone might die. Wait. Let me digest it first. Mr. Hao stretched out his hand. It felt too unreal. Wang Yu, was the same. In the past, Qin Feiyang took out the Juku Yellow Dragon pill, which had already shocked them. Now, he took out a pill that was even more shocking than the Juku Yellow Dragon pill. Potential pill? Potential pill? Small fortune pill? These medicinal pills, they had never even heard of them before. What was this guy doing? Mr. Hao suddenly raised his eyebrows and looked up at Qin Feiyang. "That's not right, Brother Mu. You're too dishonest." Qin Feiyang's face darkened and said angrily, "I've already revealed everything to you. Why aren't you honest? Since I can only take them when I'm a 9-star battle saint, why didn't you give them to me when I was still a 9-star battle saint? Now that I've broken through to a 1-star battle saint, you're giving me these pills. Then I can only stare at you?" Mr. Hao frowned. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said, "Was our relationship so good at that time?" Mr. Hao was about to cry. He was only a 1-star battle saint now. He didn't know how many years it would take to cultivate to a 9-star battle saint. Wasn't this torturing? Looking at Mr. Hao's tearful expression, Wang Yu raised her eyebrows and said, "Don't be discontent. Of course you can say that. You're a 9-star battle saint now. You can use it immediately. When you open the door of potential, you'll immediately be reborn. At that time, you'll leave me a few streets behind." Mr. Hao said unhappily. Wang Yu suddenly became angry and said angrily, "Then don't you know how to work harder? If you don't go to the Dragon Phoenix house a few more times, your cultivation will be more than this." Hearing this, Mr. Hao felt awkward. Wang Yu glared at him snappily, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "Is this the reason why your cultivation speed is so fast?" "Yes. I have already opened the 6th level of the Gate of Potential." Qin Feiyang nodded. Wang Yu took a cold breath. He had actually opened the 6th level. Suddenly, she raised her eyebrows and said, "Why? In the past, when I asked you to tell me these things, you weren't willing. Now that you're giving us so many pills, it's impossible for there to be no reason, right?" She kept feeling that the Qin Feiyang today was different from before. "Yeah, why?" Mr. Hao also reacted and looked at Qin Feiyang in confusion. Chapter 1106. Wang Yu said, "Stop talking nonsense, I want to hear the truth. Only a ghost would believe such words." Young Master Hao rolled his eyes and chuckled. "Brother Mu, why don't you tell me secretly? Is it a betrothal gift for my sister? If you don't speak, no one will think you're mute." Wang Yu's face was dark, and the veins on her forehead were throbbing. Couldn't he tell that they were discussing a very serious topic? However, if this was really a betrothal gift, then didn't that mean, thinking of this, Wang Yu's cheeks couldn't help but turn red. Looking at the red glow on Wang Yu's face, young Master Hao secretly snorted, "You're obviously looking forward to it, yet you're still angry at me. What kind of person is this?" Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He took out a 9-turn dragon blood pill and handed it to Wang Yu. "What kind of pill is this?" Wang Yu was stunned and asked suspiciously. Qin Feiyang said, 9-turn dragon blood pill, it can let you easily step into the War Emperor." Wang Yu was stunned. She looked at young Master Hao and asked in surprise, "Is this the thing that allowed him to break through to the 1-star War Saint instantly?" Qin Feiyang nodded. Wang Yu reached out and grabbed the 9-turn dragon blood pill. Her heart was pounding like a deer. Could it be that this man really liked her? Otherwise, why would he tell her so many secrets without holding back? Qin Feiyang glanced at the two of them, a hint of melancholy between his brows. He had seen young Master Hao's feelings for him. He had already discovered Wang Yu's feelings for him. If there weren't so many shackles, he would continue to maintain this relationship. But there were too many helplessness in this world. He had no choice. Taking advantage of the fact that no one had completely fallen into it, he had to cut the Gordian knot. Especially Wang Yu. If this continued, they would definitely fall deeper and deeper. In the end, both sides would suffer. Thinking of this, his gaze turned cold, and his expression became cold and heartless. He said indifferently, "I've done what I should do. From now on, the three of us will cut off all ties." The two of them, who were lost in their thoughts, suddenly raised their heads and looked at Qin Feiyang. "Cut off ties? Did they hear wrongly? What did you say?" Young Master Hao asked. Qin Feiyang said, "I said, from now on, the three of us will make a clean break with each other. We won't have anything to do with each other anymore." "That's right." The two of them shuddered, their faces filled with disbelief. "Why? Aren't we doing fine? Why do you want to cut him in half?" Young Master Hao said angrily. "Do you know? What I hate the most are you young masters and young mistresses. You think too highly of yourself and think too highly of yourself. I've had enough. When I was with you in the past, it was just as you said. I was using you. Because I have no power or influence. I have to find connections to climb up. Now that I've climbed up, I don't need you. As for these medicinal pills, consider them as your compensation. I don't want to owe anyone anything. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Impossible, young Master Hao shook his head. Wang Yuer was so aggrieved that she burst into tears. He never thought that Qin Feiyang would say such heartless words. Use, remuneration, what did he take her for? Young Master Hao looked at Wang Yuer, who was sobbing like rain, and a monstrous anger rose in his heart. He grabbed Qin Feiyang's clothes and roared, "You tell me clearly, are you telling the truth or not?" Yes. Qin Feiyang coldly pulled young Master Hao's hand away, then looked at Wang Yuer and said, "Do you think I really like you? Let me tell you, I hate unruly, willful, and unreasonable women like you the most." Hearing these words, Wang Yuer's body and mind trembled. The jade box in her hand fell, and the medicinal pills scattered all over the ground. "Bastard, have you said enough?" Seeing this, young Master Hao was furious and slapped Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang raised his hand and grabbed young Master Hao's arm. He said indifferently, "Don't be like this. If I didn't help you, you would still be a hedonistic young master. So, you should be thanking me." "Okay, I thank you." Young Master Hao gritted his teeth, raised his other arm, and angrily punched Qin Feiyang in the chest. But this punch was neither painful nor itchy for Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and pushed young Master Hao back. He looked at the two of them expressionlessly and said, "Be sensible and don't bother me again. In addition, tomorrow I will tear up the marriage contract in public in the square of the Pill Pagoda. You are free." After saying that, Qin Feiyang opened the teleportation gate and left without looking back. "Damn bastard, I won't let you go." Young Master Hao was like a mad beast, roaring again and again. Tear up the marriage contract. Wang Yuer's body and mind were also trembling. She slowly squatted on the ground, holding her head and crying bitterly. Her thin body was trembling, and she looked particularly helpless. Young Master Hao quickly squatted down and looked at Wang Yuer with concern. He said, "Sister, there are many good men in the world. There is no need to be sad over a heartless bastard." Before he could finish, Wang Yuer looked up at him and asked, "Am I really an unruly and unreasonable woman? How could that be? My sister is the kindest and most reasonable person. It's his blind dog eyes, don't be sad. We will go find my father later and make him pay." Young Master Hao comforted her. "You go. I am tired and want to go back and rest." Wang Yuer shook her head and slowly got up. She opened the portal and walked in dejectedly. Her tears fell like rain and splashed on the ground. She had already forgotten about the jade box and those pills. "Ancestor Mu, you are unrighteous, right? Then don't blame me for being heartless." Young Master Hao clenched his hands, and a strong cold light burst out from his eyes. He then picked up the jade box and those pills, opened the portal, and left. Calm Heart Lake. Inside the ancient castle. Fatso frowned and said, "Boss, is it necessary to do this? Then tell me what to say. Say that I am here to snatch the Big Dipper flame and the 5-colored crystal?" Qin Feiyang said angrily, and he was also quite annoyed. Fatso lowered his head and said, "Then there is no need to be so ruthless." Qin Feiyang said, "If I am not ruthless, will they cut me in half?" Fatso said, "Now that they hate you so much, aren't you afraid of causing trouble?" Lu Hong's dainty brows furrowed and she said angrily, "I say, you damn fatty, can't you talk less?" I can't tell that Qin Feiyang is also very uncomfortable now. Qin Feiyang waved his hand at Lu Hong. He looked at the fatty and said, I'm not afraid of trouble. It's fine as long as I can make them give up on me. As for me, I'm just a passerby here. A passerby, Fatso murmured. That's right. Whether it was Qin Feiyang or him, they were just passers-by. Sooner or later, they would leave. At the same time, in the pavilion of the Chief Pagoda Master. What were Gong Sunbei and the Chief Pagoda Master discussing? Suddenly, young Master Hao appeared out of thin air and angrily ran into the pavilion, shouting, Old man, I want you to immediately throw that bastard ancestor Mu into prison. The two of them were taken aback as they looked suspiciously at young Master Hao. Young Master Hao said angrily, Just now, he asked me and my sister to go to Black Cloud Valley. He said that he has been using us and wants to cut off all ties with us, cut off all ties. What is going on now? The two of them looked at each other in dismay. Shua. It was also at this moment. Another old man appeared in the courtyard. It was Wang Su. He also angrily rushed into the pavilion, looked at the Chief Pagoda Master, and said, No matter what, you have to hand over Ancestor Mu to this old man. What's wrong with you? The Chief Pagoda Master frowned. Wang Su said angrily, He just bullied my granddaughter and threatened to tear up the marriage contract in front of everyone at the Pill Pagoda Square tomorrow. What? The two of them were dumbfounded. Wasn't this too big of a commotion? Gong Sunbei looked at young Master Hao and asked, Junior brother, what's going on? Young Master Hao recounted what had happened in Black Cloud Valley in detail. Outrageous. Did he eat a leopard's guts? The Chief Pagoda Master was furious. My lord, please calm down. Gong Sunbei's expression changed as he hurriedly comforted him. Then, he looked at young Master Hao and said, You just said that he gave you a pill that can open the door of potential? Yes. Young Master Hao nodded, took out the 2 jade boxes, and placed them on the stone table. Gong Sunbei grabbed one of the jade boxes and opened the lid. A trace of shock appeared on his face as he said, It's actually 7 pill patterns. 7 pill patterns? The Chief Pagoda Master was shocked. He grabbed the other jade box, and when he opened the lid, he was petrified on the spot. To be able to refine 7 pill patterns, this kid is really capable. But even so, this old man won't let him go for bullying my granddaughter. Wang Mo snorted angrily. Gong Sunbei said, Elder Wang, please calm down. Let me ask him first. What's there to ask? Wang Mo said angrily. This kid really knows how to cause trouble. Gong Sunbei couldn't help but feel exhausted. He looked at young Master Hao and said, Can these pills really open the door of potential? Young Master Hao shook his head and said, I don't know, but it shouldn't be fake. He has already opened the 6th level. The 6th level. The 3 leaders' eyes trembled. In the current world, those who could open the 1st level of the door of potential were extremely rare. This kid had actually opened the 6th level. Could it be that he could become a 4-star battle saint in such a short time? Gong Sunbei pondered for a moment and sighed, I think I understand why he did this. Why? The 3 looked at him suspiciously. Gong Sunbei smiled bitterly and said, My lord, it's so obvious. Can't you see it? The Chief Pagoda Master frowned. Gong Sunbei looked at young Master Hao and Wang Mo and said with a smile, Junior brother, Elder Wang, you can go back first. We will definitely give you a satisfactory explanation. No, you must give this old man an explanation now. This old man only has 1 granddaughter. Even this old man can't bear to scold or beat her. How dare he bully my granddaughter like this? This is unforgivable. Wang Su was fuming with rage. He was furious to the extreme. Gong Sunbei smiled helplessly and opened a portal. He pushed Wang Mo into the portal and said, Old man, you are already so old. Why are you still so angry? Let the young people solve their own problems. You don't have to worry about it. Go back. Wang Imo said angrily, nonsense, he bullied my granddaughter. Of course I have to worry about it. I know. You go back first. I will ask Ancestor Mu to personally apologize another day, Gongsun Bei said impatiently. Wang Imo raised his eyebrows and said, you said it. If he doesn't take the initiative to apologize, I will hold you responsible. Fine. You can do whatever you want. Gongsun Bei said. It was only then that Wang Su stopped and entered the portal. We finally sent that troublesome old man away. Gongsun Bei wiped his sweat and said to young Master Hao, junior brother, you go back too. Young Master Hao wanted to say something. Quick. Gongsun Bei glared. Chapter 1107. After young Master Hao and Wang Su left, the chief pagoda master looked at Gongsun Bei in confusion. Gongsun Bei sighed. My lord, do you really not understand? He's trying to distance himself from this. Distance himself from this? The chief pagoda master frowned. Yes. If what junior brother said is true and he's using everyone, then why did he give junior brother and you, these pills after he's done using them? You have to know that any one of these pills will cause a storm of blood if taken out. In terms of value, it's immeasurable. Think about it carefully. He's willing to give such precious pills to junior brother and you, Doesn't it mean that he actually cares about this friendship? Gongsun Bei shook his head and sighed. The chief pagoda master felt that it made sense and said, so, we've all wronged him. I think when he was preparing to do this, he already expected this result, so it doesn't matter whether he's wronged or not. He just wants to eliminate this suspicion. At the same time, he's also indirectly answering you that he won't assist junior brother. Gongsun Bei said. The chief pagoda master asked, then what kind of person do you think he is? Gongsun Bei pondered for a moment and shook his head. To be honest, I don't know because I can't see through him. But I'm sure that he doesn't care about power. Phew. The chief pagoda master let out a long breath and smiled faintly. As long as he doesn't threaten Hao, he can do whatever he wants. My lord is wise. We should nurture such a person well. Moreover, he personally told me that if junior brother needs help in the future, he won't sit by and do nothing. I think this sentence is enough to show his position. Gongsun Bei smiled. Yes. The chief pagoda master nodded and said, however, his engagement with you, can't be messed around. You know Wang Su's temper. If he really dares to break the engagement tomorrow, I think Wang Su will definitely think of a way to torture him. Gongsun Bei nodded and said, the engagement can't be trifled with. I'll go talk to him tonight. You must persuade him. As long as he marries you, with you's relationship, even if he doesn't want to assist Hao, you, will definitely not agree. After all, you, and Hao, are like siblings. The chief pagoda master laughed. That makes sense. Gongsun Bei nodded. What the two of them did not know was that their conversation had been overheard by the spirit serpent emperor, who was hiding among the flowers. It immediately found an opportunity to pass the message to Qin Feiyang. After learning of this, Qin Feiyang decisively decided to break off the engagement without waiting for tomorrow. Pill Pagoda Plaza. Qin Feiyang descended from the sky, not concealing his aura at all. It's Ancestor Mu. After sensing Qin Feiyang's aura, the people in the square immediately looked up at Qin Feiyang, their eyes filled with fear. Yesterday's incident at the North City Central Square was still fresh in everyone's minds. Qin Feiyang glanced at the people in the square, cupped his hands and said, I need everyone's help. Senior Marshal Brother Mu, why are you being so polite? Just say it. Yes, yes, yes. As long as it's within our ability, we will definitely do our best. Everyone exclaimed. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, please inform your friends around you to come to the Pill Pagoda Square. I have something to announce. Something to announce? Everyone was stunned. Someone asked, can anyone do it? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. For a moment, everyone took out their image crystals and sent messages to their friends around them. What? Ancestor Mu has something to announce at the Pill Pagoda Square? Wait here, I'll be right there. Those who received the news were all excited. They immediately rushed to the Pill Pagoda Square through the teleportation portal. 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100. Not long after, thousands of people gathered in the square, and the number was still increasing. Senior Marshal Brother Mu, what's the matter? Why did you call so many people here? Can you tell us now? Among these people, there were disciples of the Pill Pagoda and the Warrior Mountain Range, as well as disciples of the Sacred Land. There were also many outsiders who looked at Qin Feiyang curiously. Qin Feiyang glanced at everyone and cupped his hands. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come here. Someone said impatiently, Senior Marshal Brother Mu, let's cut the formalities and get straight to the point. Okay. Then I'll say it. Qin Feiyang took out the marriage contract with Wang Yu and said, this is the marriage contract between Wang Yu and me. Now, I will tear it up in front of everyone and have nothing to do with her in the future. After saying that, Qin Feiyang clenched his hand and the marriage contract shattered on the spot. Scraps of paper flew everywhere. What? He actually tore up the marriage contract. What is he thinking? Everyone was in an uproar. Their faces were full of disbelief. One had to know. Whether it was Wang Yu's appearance or her family background, she was the dream marriage partner of countless men. If it were someone else, they would cherish her, but this person actually destroyed the marriage contract. What was he thinking? How could he do such a stupid thing? At the same time, the old man guarding the teleportation altar also looked at Qin Feiyang with a dumbfounded expression. Was this kid crazy? Such a good marriage was destroyed just like that? After coming back to his senses, he immediately took out the image crystal. Buzz! Gongsun Bei's shadow appeared. The old man hurriedly said, come to the square of the Pill Pagoda quickly. Something big has happened. What's the matter? Gongsun Bei was suspicious. The old man said, Ancestor Mu has destroyed the marriage contract. What? He really dares to do it? Gongsun Bei's expression changed. The chief pagoda master was also dumbfounded. If this matter were to reach Wang Mo's ears, it would be terrible. Thinking of this, the chief pagoda master quivered and shouted, hurry up and deal with it. You must not let him continue to make trouble. Yes. Gongsun Bei nodded and put away the image crystal. He immediately opened the teleportation gate and descended on the square of the Pill Pagoda. He shouted, Ancestor Mu, what are you doing? You're here so quickly. Qin Feiyang muttered and said with a smile, Brother Gongsun, you came at the right time. Help me bear witness. Bear witness? Gongsun Bei's face darkened. He said angrily, aren't you messing around? I'm not messing around. I admit that you is not only beautiful, but also has a good family background. Being able to marry her is a blessing that I've cultivated for 3 lifetimes. But it's also because of this that I can't marry her. Because I'm not worthy of her. Qin Feiyang said. I don't agree. The chief pagoda master didn't agree either. Gongsun Bei said with a cold face. Qin Feiyang said, this is my personal matter. I don't need your approval. Impudent. Your marriage contract was made under the witness of the chief pagoda master, so this is no longer your personal matter. It's up to the chief pagoda master to decide whether to destroy this marriage or not you. Gong Sunbei shouted angrily. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. Gong Sunbei said, although the marriage contract has been destroyed, the marriage contract is still there. Come with me to see the chief pagoda master immediately. With that, he opened a portal. Qin Feiyang frowned. Gong Sunbei shouted, why aren't you leaving? Do you need me to call someone to carry you there? Qin Feiyang's pupils shrank. It could be seen that Gong Sunbei was really angry. He sighed helplessly and strode into the portal. Gong Sunbei looked at the crowd below and said, Ancestor Mu was just joking just now. Please don't talk nonsense. With that, he also entered the portal. He destroyed the marriage contract with his own hands. How can this be called a joke? Many people sneered in their hearts and immediately left. They spread the news through the image crystal. Soon, this matter became known to everyone and caused a huge commotion in Divine City. Ancestor Mu, are you done fooling around? At the same time, the chief pagoda master, who was sitting in the pavilion, looked at Qin Feiyang, who was standing outside with a face full of anger. This disciple is not fooling around. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and said. The chief pagoda master said, if you just want to prove to me, now that I have seen your intentions, I hope this matter will end here. Master, Qin Feiyang hurriedly said. Enough. Don't mention this again. The chief pagoda master shouted. Qin Feiyang looked at Gong Sunbei for help. It's no use looking at me. I originally planned to have a good talk with you tonight, but I didn't expect you to act so fast. I was wondering, you clearly said that you would tear up the marriage contract tomorrow. Why did it suddenly change to now? Are you really so impatient? Do you know what the consequences will be once Wang Su finds out about this? Gong Sunbei was extremely angry. Boom! Before his voice faded, a terrifying aura descended above the courtyard. It's over. Speak of the devil. Gong Sunbei and the chief pagoda master immediately rubbed their foreheads. Because the owner of this aura was Wang Su. But this time, it was not only Wang Su who came, but also the Saint Peak Master and the Sacred Pagoda Master. Kid, you dare to appear in front of this old man, see if this old man doesn't cripple you today. As soon as Wang Su saw Qin Feiyang, he rushed down angrily. Father, don't be impulsive, ask clearly first. Seeing this, the Saint Peak Master and the Sacred Pagoda Master's expression changed as they hurriedly chased down and stopped the angry Wang Su. Because they knew the old man's temper too well, if they didn't stop him, he might end up killing someone. The chief pagoda master got up and said with a smile, yes, you are also an elder. If you have something to say, let's talk it out. Don't be so impulsive. Wang Su glanced at the three and glared fiercely at Qin Feiyang. He entered the pavilion angrily and sat on the stone bench, looking at Qin Feiyang and said, Kid, don't say this old man didn't give you a chance. Tell me, what is wrong with my granddaughter that you hate so much? The Saint Peak Master and the Sacred Pagoda Master also entered the pavilion, frowning and looking at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang looked at the three and sighed, she is very good, I am not worthy of her. Wang Su shouted, be more specific, what is it? Qin Feiyang said, a lot, such as family background. The Sacred Pagoda Master frowned and said, we didn't despise you. This has nothing to do with you, it's me who can't get over the hurdle in my heart, not to mention that my engagement with Wang Yu was forced by you. Qin Feiyang said. Wang Su said angrily, according to you, it's our fault. It is. Qin Feiyang pursed his lips. If these people didn't insist on his engagement with Wang Yu would Wang Yu have feelings for him? Chapter 1108. Bastard. If you hadn't done that kind of thing in the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion, would we have let you get engaged? Wang Su was furious. He slammed his palm on the stone table and stood up angrily. Qin Feiyang said, "We didn't do anything in the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion." "Then do others know?" "Others only know that the two of you are lying on the bed and hugging each other." Wang Su shouted angrily. The Saint Peak Master frowned and said, "Ancestor Mu, as a man, you have to know how to be responsible. If you really break the engagement now, do you know how much damage it will do to you, Qin Feiyang was quite angry. What did he do wrong? Why did they all come to force him? Yes. He admitted that he had taken advantage of Wang Yu in the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion, but that was because he was bewitched by Wang Yu's charm. If Wang Yu hadn't taken the initiative to seduce him, would things have gotten to this point? Forget about that. After all, he was a man and had to be responsible. He was going to be the heartless person. For example, now that the news of him breaking the engagement spread, there would definitely be people scolding him behind his back, saying that he was an irresponsible and heartless person. He had paid the price. But these people were still holding on to it. What kind of logic was this? The Chief Tower Master glanced at everyone, and his eyes flashed slightly. He sighed and said, "Everyone, calm down a little. Now is not the time to pursue who is right and who is wrong. We have to quickly think of a way to quell the rumors outside." Wang Su returned to the stone bench and said helplessly, "The news has already spread. How can we quell it?" The Chief Tower Master said, "I have a way." "What way?" They looked at him suspiciously. The Chief Tower Master said, "Immediately pick a good day and hold the marriage of the two of them. This way, those rumors will naturally disappear." "Good idea." Gong Sunbei nodded. Wang Su pondered for a moment before standing up and saying, "All right, let's do that. I'll immediately get someone to arrange it." Qin Feiyang hurriedly said, "Wait, have you asked our client's opinion?" Gong Sunbei said, "There's no need to ask. You just have to be the bridegroom with peace of mind." Qin Feiyang clenched his fists, his eyes full of anger. The Sacred Pagoda Master glanced at Qin Feiyang, then at Wang Su and the Chief Pagoda Master. He frowned and said, "Father, Chief Pagoda Master, this is their life's most important matter. Isn't this too hasty? This old man has already made up his mind. No one is allowed to object." Wang Su waved his hand, then looked at Qin Feiyang and snorted coldly, "Brat, don't be greedy. If it weren't for the incident at the Longfeng Pavilion, this old man wouldn't have married my granddaughter to you. Also, to be able to marry my, Wang Su's, granddaughter is the accumulated merit of your ancestors. You should go and burn incense." With that, Wang Su opened the teleportation gate and strode in, not giving Qin Feiyang a chance to speak at all. The Saint Peak Master and the Saint Peak Master looked at each other and smiled helplessly before following in. Qin Feiyang looked at the dissipating portal and raised his eyebrows slightly. He looked at the Chief Tower Master and said, "Master, this," the Chief Tower Master said, "Enough, don't say anything. You are the one who caused this trouble. You have to face it. Go back and apologize to you, After all, you have to live together in the future." Qin Feiyang was extremely angry. He originally wanted to cut off all of this, but the result was the opposite of what he wanted. This time, it was really a big mess. He opened the portal and returned to the attic. He sat beside the tea table and lowered his head in contemplation. Marriage, absolutely not. Because once his identity was exposed, both he and Wang Yu would fall into the abyss of pain. But what could he do now? Confess to Wang Yu No. It was too risky. If Wang Yu knew his identity and told the Chief Tower Master, then not to mention the five-colored crystal, even his life would be a problem. He had to get his hands on the five-colored crystal. Because Yan Wei's million people were still waiting for him to save them. Sigh. A moment later, Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly. In fact, it was still the five-colored crystal. If he could get the five-colored crystal, why would he need to worry so much? Roar! Suddenly, a beast's roar sounded outside. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He got up and opened the door, only to see a beast floating in the air above the courtyard. Qin Feiyang had seen it before. It was the beast that stopped Chu Xian by the lake. The beast looked at Qin Feiyang and said in a muffled voice, "Someone came to Jingxin Lake to look for you." Who? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. The beast said, "I think it's Li Yan." "What is she doing here?" Qin Feiyang frowned and suddenly thought of something. He shook his head and smiled, "I know, let her go back first. I will go to the cave to find her later." "Okay." The beast nodded and turned to leave. Qin Feiyang glanced at young Master Hao and Wang Yu's courtyard, closed the door, and took Fatso out of the castle, saying, "I won't force you to do anything, understand?" "Understood." Fatso nodded and opened the portal to leave. The meaning of these words was quite obvious. If Li Yan really liked him, he could choose to be with Li Yan. For Li Yan, he could even leave Qin Feiyang and stay in the Central Divine Kingdom. However, in Fatso's heart, he had already made a choice. About an hour passed. Fatso came back, looking quite excited, but with a trace of helplessness. "What's wrong?" Qin Feiyang asked. Fatso said excitedly, "Do you know? This is the first time in Fat Lord's life that a woman took the initiative to confess." Li Yan confessed? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Did she really like this guy? Fatso lowered his head and said with a sad face, "Similarly, this is also the first time in Fat Lord's life that he rejected her. I don't even know where he found the courage to do so." Qin Feiyang patted his shoulder to comfort him. Fatso suddenly looked up at Qin Feiyang and said, "Boss, Fat Lord has a request." "Say it." Qin Feiyang said. Fatso said, "Can you give Li Yan some pills?" "Sure." Qin Feiyang said with a smile. "Thank you." Fatso looked at Qin Feiyang gratefully and then hung his head dejectedly. Qin Feiyang sighed inwardly. He entered the ancient castle and refined 3 potential pills. 2 potential pills, 2 small creation pills, and 1 9 revolutions dragon blood pill. All of them had 7 pill patterns. Then, he put them in a jade box and left the ancient castle, handing them to Fatso. Fatso opened the teleportation gate again to look for Li Yan. Not long after, he returned. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, "Now I feel relaxed. But what about you? If you don't think of a way, I'm afraid you'll really have to marry Wang Yu, or." The chief tower master and Wang Su had already steeled their hearts. Qin Feiyang had no choice but to follow their arrangements. "I'm also having a headache." Qin Feiyang lowered his head weakly. How on earth would he be able to get his hands on this 5-colored crystal? "I thought of someone." Fatso suddenly said. "Who?" Qin Feiyang's spirit was lifted as he looked at Fatso. "Miss Longfeng Pavilion." Fatso said. "Her?" Qin Feiyang frowned. After pondering for a while, he nodded and said, "All right, let's go find her." With that, Qin Feiyang stood up and sent Fatso to the ancient castle. Then, he opened the teleportation gate and directly descended into the room of the Miss of Longfeng Pavilion. The layout of the room was the same as before. In front of him was a curtain. Behind the curtain sat a hazy figure. The pleasant sound of a zither could be heard. Qin Feiyang's appearance did not stop the sound of the zither. Qin Feiyang did not disturb the Miss of Longfeng Pavilion. He sat on the only chair in the room and quietly listened to the sound of the zither. The sound of the zither was like a high mountain and flowing water, purifying the soul. Unknowingly, the irritation in Qin Feiyang's heart gradually calmed down. About half an hour passed. The sound of the zither finally came to an end, and there was a burst of cheers outside. "Young Master Qin, are you still upset?" The voice of the Miss of Longfeng Pavilion also came from behind the curtain. It was a heavenly sound. Qin Feiyang came back to his senses and said with a faint smile, "It seems that Miss has already expected that I would come." The Miss of Longfeng Pavilion smiled and said, "I don't have the ability to foresee things like a god. It's purely a guess." Qin Feiyang said, "Regardless of whether it's a guess or a godly foresight, since I'm here today, you have to give me an explanation." "What explanation?" the Miss of Longfeng Pavilion asked. Qin Feiyang's gaze turned cold as he said, "Aren't you asking the obvious? Back then at Cloud Mountain Range, then at Black Cloud Valley, your appearance, don't tell me it's a coincidence." "That's right. The golden figure that appeared time and time again was this mysterious woman in front of him. It's not a coincidence." The Miss of Longfeng Pavilion was silent for a moment before replying. Qin Feiyang said, "Since it's not a coincidence, then how can you clearly grasp my whereabouts?" The Miss of Longfeng Pavilion fell silent again. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. One had to know. Whether it was going to Cloud Mountain Range or Black Cloud Valley, he had used the teleportation gate to go there directly. If it was tracking, it was impossible to do so. Therefore, there must be some kind of mystery that he did not know about. No comment for the time being. After waiting for a long time, the Miss of Longfeng Pavilion finally replied. However, this reply almost made Qin Feiyang go berserk. "I'll endure it." Qin Feiyang took a deep breath, calmed the anger in his heart, and said, "All right, tell me when you want to say it. Now, let me ask you a question." "What question?" the Miss of Longfeng Pavilion asked. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, his battle chi gushed out, condensing into a 5-colored crystal stone, and asked, "Do you know what this is?" The Miss of Longfeng Pavilion smiled and said, "Isn't this your purpose in entering the main tower?" "Hee hee." Qin Feiyang laughed. "What are you laughing at?" The Miss of Longfeng Pavilion was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, "So the person the mysterious madam is talking about is you?" The Miss of Longfeng Pavilion was surprised. "All these years, I've been guessing your identity. I suspected that you might be a member of the Mu family, and I also suspected that you might be a member of the mysterious madam. And now, I can finally confirm that you are the person who will help me at the critical moment that the mysterious madam said." Qin Feiyang said. "How do you know?" the Miss of Longfeng Pavilion asked. "Because the people of the Mu family don't know that I'm here for the 5-colored crystal stone. They only think that I'm here to cooperate with them to snatch the heavenly dipper flame. So, if you're a member of the Mu family, it's impossible for you to know about this." Qin Feiyang said. The Miss of Longfeng Pavilion was silent for a while, then sighed, "I didn't expect that I would be tricked by you. It seems that I have to be more cautious when interacting with you." Chapter 1109. Qin Feiyang said, "Then can we be honest with each other now?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House said, "I think I'm already honest enough." "You're honest?" Qin Feiyang scoffed and said indifferently, "I don't want to talk nonsense anymore. Let's get to the point. How can I get the 5-colored crystal as soon as possible? This matter can't be rushed." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House answered straightforwardly. Qin Feiyang said angrily, "You're not in a hurry, but I am. The Chief Tower Master and Wang Su are already choosing a date for me to marry Wang Yuer. This is a good thing." Without waiting for Qin Feiyang to finish, the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House smiled. "A good thing?" Qin Feiyang raised his brows. "That's right. Wang Su's family has a very high status in the Chief Tower Master's heart. They can even be compared to his family. After you and Wang Yuer get married, the Chief Tower Master will definitely completely relax his guard against you. At that time, your chances of snatching the five-colored crystal will naturally be higher. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House said. Qin Feiyang said solemnly, "You're asking me to take advantage of Wang Yuer's feelings." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House smiled faintly and said, "The Chief Tower Master is not an ordinary person. To deal with him, you have to use extreme methods." Qin Feiyang said, "This is your concept, not mine. I will never do such a thing. You're too stubborn." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House sighed. "This is not stubbornness, it's a matter of principle. At the very least, you can't hurt someone who likes you. This is the standard of being a person." Qin Feiyang said. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House said, "What about Yan Wei's million clansmen? Don't you want to save them?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. It was because he wanted to save Yan Wei's clansmen that he entered the Chief Tower. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House said, "Since you want to save them, then you have no choice but to do as I say." "No. I still have a choice." Qin Feiyang's gaze turned cold. "What choice?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix House was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, "Give up on snatching the five-colored crystal, confess my identity to the Chief Pagoda Master, and announce your relationship with the mysterious madam." The Miss of the Longfeng Pavilion said, "You are playing with fire and burning yourself." "Yes. I am playing with fire. You're definitely going to ask me if I don't care about Yan Wei's people anymore." "Yes, I don't care. Kill them if you can. But let me tell you, they will not die in vain, because I will make you pay. You are very strong now, and I am no match for you, but what about the future? Although I, Qin Feiyang, am not a peerless genius, I am still confident. 10 years, I only need 10 years to crush all of you under my feet." Qin Feiyang smiled sinisterly. Hearing these words, the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion felt a chill in her heart, and a sense of fear that could not be resolved emerged in her heart. If it were someone else, she would definitely scoff. However, she did not dare to underestimate the person in front of her. Qin Feiyang sneered, "Now answer me, are you afraid?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion remained silent, but the fear in her eyes could not be concealed. Although she did not spend much time with Qin Feiyang, she understood Qin Feiyang very well. In terms of talent, whether it was martial arts talent or alchemy talent, no one in the entire continent could compare to him. In terms of brains, even those old monsters who had lived for countless years would not be able to play with him. The most important thing was that he still had a life-saving ancient castle. No one had the ability to kill him in the cradle. Who wouldn't be afraid of such a potential enemy? If you're afraid, don't threaten me again in the future. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly, implying that he was not someone to be trifled with. He then said, "Now tell me, how can I get the five-colored crystal as soon as possible? I believe you will definitely have a way." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion was silent for a moment, then sighed, "Go back and wait for my news. I will make the arrangements." "How long?" Qin Feiyang asked. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion said, "Not too long." Qin Feiyang looked at her deeply, then stood up and took out the image crystal. After establishing the contract bridge, he opened the teleportation gate. "Also, don't make use of young Master Hao's feelings for you." With that, Qin Feiyang entered the teleportation gate without looking back. After Qin Feiyang left, the eyes of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion flickered as she awakened the image crystal. Buzz! After more than 10 breaths, a phantom image appeared. It was an old man dressed in white with an ordinary appearance. There was a scar above his left eye, but he gave off an otherworldly aura. "Teacher." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion bowed respectfully. What's wrong? The old man asked hoarsely, his old face showing a trace of doting love for the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion said, "Just now, Qin Feiyang came to look for me." The old man was stunned and asked, "What did he say?" The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion explained what had happened in detail. Sigh. You were too careless. This child is a person who is very good at seizing opportunities. Now that he knows about your relationship with Madam, he has taken the initiative. It's very disadvantageous for us. The old man sighed. I'm sorry. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion lowered her head like a child who had done something wrong. Forget it. I can't blame you for this. It's all that little fellow's fault for being too smart. The old man shook his head and smiled. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion said, "Then now the old man said, "there's no other way. I'll go and make the arrangements." The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion said worriedly, "What if your identity is exposed?" As long as the plan is thorough, it shouldn't be. If it's really exposed, as long as I can get the 5-colored crystal, it's worth it. However, there's a need to inform Madam about this matter first. Send a message to Madam later and see if she has any thoughts. The old man said. Okay. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion nodded. Calming Heart Lake. After returning to the pavilion, Qin Feiyang sat cross-legged on the balcony and closed his eyes to cultivate. Time passed day by day. On the third day, a piece of news spread in the Divine City. Gongsun Bei announced in the Pill Pagoda Square that 5 days later, a wedding ceremony would be held for Qin Feiyang and Wang Yuer. He also invited all the tyrants to be guests. How could this be? The moment the news came out, it instantly set off an unprecedented storm in the Central Divine Kingdom. While people were discussing fervently, they could not help but feel puzzled. Didn't Qin Feiyang just destroy the marriage contract a few days ago? Why was he suddenly getting married? Could it be that it was really as Gongsun Bei said at that time, that Qin Feiyang was just joking with everyone? Father, mother, grandfather, before you decide on this matter, shouldn't you at least discuss it with me? In a certain courtyard, Wang Yuer looked at Wang Su and the other two sitting beside the coffee table with a face full of anger. The woman smiled and said, we're doing this for your own good. Wang Yuer said, if the two of them are truly in love, I have nothing to say. But now, it's my wishful thinking. The woman said with a straight face, who said it's your wishful thinking? Ancestor Mu has never denied that he doesn't like you. Wang Yuer said, he hasn't denied it, but can't you see what he's thinking? He doesn't want to marry me at all. It's not up to him. Wang Su snorted through his nose. Wang Yuer said angrily, grandfather, you're old and muddle-headed. If you do this, we won't be happy. It will only make us suffer more. How dare you? Who are you talking to? Wang Su was also angry. Seeing Wang Su angry, the woman's expression changed slightly. She quickly got up, walked to Wang Yuer, and said in a low voice, this marriage has been decided by your grandfather and the chief tower master. No one can change it. Don't make a fuss. Go back and be a good bride. Mother, Wang Yuer was so anxious that tears were about to come out. The woman patted her shoulder and said with a smile, all right, don't say anything. Go back. Fine, you can do whatever you want. In any case, in your eyes, I'm just a puppet. I don't have any right to choose. Wang Yuer shed tears of grievance, turned around, and ran out. Looking at Wang Yuer's back, the woman could not bear it. She turned to look at Wang Su and said, Father, why don't we think about it again? Wang Su waved his hand and said, there's nothing to think about. Don't worry about it. Remember, it has to be grand. After all, I'm marrying my granddaughter. Sigh. Seeing that Wang Su had made up his mind, the couple looked at each other and sighed helplessly. Although they gave birth to their daughter, everything in the family was decided by the old man. There was nothing they could do. As for Wang Yuer, she returned to Soothing Lake and looked at Qin Feiyang sitting on the balcony. She immediately felt indignant. Because of this matter, she was almost angry, but this guy was still in the mood to cultivate. Ancestor Mu, she shouted and landed in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang opened his eyes and looked at Wang Yuer suspiciously. Originally, he had a stomach full of anger, but when facing Qin Feiyang, Wang Yuer didn't know what to say. Grandfather and Chief Pagoda Master have already decided to hold a wedding ceremony for us in 5 days. I went to look for them, but it was useless no matter what I said. If you really don't want to marry me, it's not too late to leave now. Finished. Wang Yuer turned around and flew towards her courtyard. 5 days later. So fast? Qin Feiyang frowned, and then raised his head to look at Wang Yuer's back, his emotions extremely complicated. You and I can only say that we are not fated to be together. A moment passed. Qin Feiyang sighed, got up and returned to the pavilion, taking out the image crystal. Buzz! The illusory image of the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house appeared. Her face was still covered by a veil, looking mysterious and unfathomable. Qin Feiyang frowned. I will be marrying Wang Yuer in 5 days, haven't you arranged it yet? I was just about to look for you. At midnight, sneak into the Chief Pagoda Master's courtyard. You might find an opportunity. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said. Maybe? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house said, Chief Pagoda Master is more shrewd than you think, I can't say 100% to you. Qin Feiyang looked at the young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house, and finally nodded after a while, all right, it's better to have a chance than not, I will be there on time at midnight. Then I'll wait for your good news. Also, if you really get the 5-colored crystal, you have to think of a way to hand it over to me immediately. The young lady of the Dragon Phoenix house warned. Qin Feiyang did not reply, directly turning off the image crystal and falling into deep thought. Chapter 11:10. One had to know. The cold ice flame was the key to opening the miracle. How precious was it? But back then, the mysterious lady gave it to him without even blinking. There were also perfect battle arts. The mysterious lady had given them no less than 10 perfect battle arts. Especially this concealment art. If he wasn't wrong, the concealment art should have been given to him by the mysterious lady. Although the concealment art wasn't a divine art, in terms of practicality, it was already comparable to a divine art. She was even willing to give him such a precious battle art, but now she was scheming to obtain the 5-colored crystal. Obviously. This 5-colored crystal was more valuable than anything else. But what was its value? Qin Feiyang couldn't figure it out. Time passed bit by bit. On this day, Qin Feiyang could be said to have felt like a year. Finally. Dawn was approaching. Success or failure depends on this. Qin Feiyang looked out of the window at the moonlight. A determined light flashed across his eyes as he decisively opened the teleportation gate. Then, he activated the concealment art and entered the teleportation gate. The next moment, he descended outside the Chief Pagoda Master's courtyard. The waning moon hung high in the sky and the night was hazy. In the courtyard, Qin Feiyang didn't see the Chief Pagoda Master, but a window on the second floor of the pavilion emitted a weak candlelight. Qin Feiyang soared into the air and flew to the window. The window was half closed. Looking through the window, one could clearly see that the Chief Pagoda Master was sitting in front of his desk, holding an ancient book in his hand and quietly reading it. His entire body emitted a scholarly aura. Looking at this scene, perhaps no one would have thought that such a modest gentleman would actually be a selfish villain. It's dawn, why isn't there any movement? Qin Feiyang looked at the moonlight and couldn't help but frown. The concealment art could only be maintained for an hour. Once the time was up, even if the chief pagoda master took out the 5-colored crystal, he wouldn't be able to snatch it. Right. Where's the spirit snake emperor? Qin Feiyang scanned the courtyard. Where was this guy hiding now? If something happened later, it might be implicated, so he had to find it first. However, he and the spirit snake emperor were both in a hidden state and couldn't see each other. How could he find it? Suddenly, his eyes lit up. If the spirit snake emperor had really been monitoring the chief tower master, then it should be here right now. Qin Feiyang looked at the window. The window was the best place to monitor the chief tower master. 4 potted plants were placed on the windowsill. They were verdant and full of vitality. As expected. After careful observation, Qin Feiyang found the phantom snake emperor among the green leaves of one of the potted plants. The spirit snake emperor had shrunk to the size of a strand of hair, and its skin had become one with the green leaves. If one did not look for it deliberately, it would be impossible to find it. Qin Feiyang carefully reached out and grabbed the spirit snake emperor. The sudden change startled the spirit snake emperor. It thought that its whereabouts had been exposed. "Shoo, it's me." Qin Feiyang hurriedly transmitted his voice. The spirit serpent emperor was taken aback. It immediately glared at Qin Feiyang and said angrily, "You scared me to death." Qin Feiyang teased, "When did you become so timid?" "Nonsense. Why don't you take a look at where you are now?" The spirit serpent emperor glared at him and asked, "Why did you suddenly come here?" Qin Feiyang said, "Something might happen later." "What's going on?" The spirit serpent emperor was surprised. "I'm not sure either." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "If you're not sure, why did you come here?" The spirit serpent emperor was speechless. Boom. However, before it could finish its words, a terrifying emperor's aura suddenly descended on the courtyard. Qin Feiyang was shocked. He hurriedly brought the spirit serpent emperor out of the courtyard and stood behind a big tree. Immediately, he saw a black figure standing in the sky above the courtyard. Through the hazy moonlight, he could vaguely see that the black figure was wearing a black mask that covered its face. "Who's there?" Almost at the next moment, the chief tower master's voice rang out in the pavilion. Then, with a flash, the chief tower master appeared in the sky above the courtyard and stood in the air with the black figure. "Hand over the divine crystals." The black figure said coldly. It was like the voice of the Grim Reaper, without the slightest emotion. "Divine crystals." Hearing these 2 words, the chief tower master's eyes trembled. He shouted, "Who are you? How do you know about the divine crystals?" Boom. The black figure did not answer and directly attacked. He threw a punch at the chief tower master. Battle chi surged, shocking the surroundings. Who dares to behave atrociously in the chief tower? A violent roar rang out, shaking the heavens and the earth. Then, streams of light flew into the sky from all corners of the sacred ground. Each of them emitted an extremely powerful aura. There was Gongsun Bei. There was the second grandpa of the Mu family, Lu Xingfeng. There was Wang Yuer's parents. There was also Wang Su. In short, all the experts of the sacred ground rushed toward the chief tower master's courtyard at this moment. The terrifying aura shook the sky. Damn, there are at least 1,000 combat emperor auras. The spirit serpent emperor's pupils shrank. It was full of fear. The strength of the chief tower can't be underestimated. No wonder even the Mu family doesn't dare to go against the chief tower openly. Qin Feiyang mumbled. This was also the first time he had seen the true strength of the chief tower. At the same time, seeing that the black figure had attacked in the chief tower, the chief tower master was furious. His aura changed greatly in an instant. If he was a modest gentleman before, then he was now a true ruler of the world. Boom! His eyes shone like two bright moons. He did not dodge at all and slammed his palm toward the black figure. In an instant, when their palms collided, a destructive shockwave rolled out in all directions with the two of them as the center. The courtyard below was instantly turned into ashes. Not good. Qin Feiyang's expression changed. He hurriedly brought the Spirit Serpent Emperor into the castle. Just as he stepped into the castle, the shockwave roared toward him. Everywhere it went, everything was like ants. They could not withstand a single blow and were turned into ashes. Fortunately, there was no one living near the Chief Tower Master. Otherwise, this attack would be enough to kill anyone. At the same time, the Chief Tower Master and the black figure both took a few steps back. A trace of blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. The Chief Tower Master lowered his head and looked at the mess below. He looked up at the black figure and said in a deep voice, "9-star Combat Emperor, who are you? Cut the crap. I want the divine crystals." The black figure shouted. His words were as sharp as a blade, sonorous and powerful. "Do you think you are qualified to covet the divine crystals?" The Chief Tower Master's body shook and a vast aura broke out from his body. Moreover, within this pressure, there was actually a terrifying divine might. The black figure's pupils shrank. He turned around and flew away without hesitation. He was extremely fast and disappeared in the blink of an eye. What happened? Why does his aura contain divine aura? Has he broken through to the false god realm? Qin Feiyang and the Spirit Serpent Emperor came out of the castle. When they felt the aura of the Chief Tower Master, the Spirit Serpent Emperor's eyes were filled with fear. No. He has not broken through to the false god realm. He must have mastered some kind of divine skill. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. Divine skill. The Spirit Serpent Emperor's eyes trembled. It was no wonder that the black figure had turned around and fled. Whoosh! At this moment, Gongsun Bei and the others flew through the air and landed in front of the Chief Tower Master. They were all concerned. The Chief Tower Master said in a deep voice, "I'm fine. Gongsun Bei and Wang Su, stay here. The rest of you, bring people to lock down the Divine City and check if there are any suspicious people." Yes. The Peak Master of St. Peak and the others responded respectfully. They then opened the portal and left. Gongsun Bei frowned and said, "My lord, who is it?" The Chief Tower Master restrained his aura and said in a low voice, "I did not see clearly. His aura is also very strange. He is here for the divine crystals." What? Gongsun Bei and Wang Su were shocked. Divine crystals? The Spirit Serpent Emperor was stunned and asked, "Could the divine crystals be the five-colored crystal?" "It's possible." Qin Feiyang nodded. After Wang Su came back to his senses, he looked at the Chief Tower Master and said in surprise, "Only the people at the top of our Chief Tower know about the divine crystals. Could this person be someone from our Chief Tower?" Gongsun Bei and the Chief Tower Master looked at each other and lowered their heads, their eyebrows tightly furrowed. The Chief Tower Master's eyes flashed coldly as he looked at the two and said, "Go and check if anyone has left before." "Okay." The two nodded and turned around to go deeper into the sacred land. The Chief Tower Master also turned in the air and flew in another direction. Qin Feiyang also immediately soared into the sky and silently chased after the Chief Pagoda Master. If he guessed correctly, that black figure was definitely arranged by the Dragon Phoenix Pavilion's young lady. However, he did not understand such an arrangement. Because it was the same as alerting the enemy. Following the Chief Tower Master, a courtyard soon entered Qin Feiyang's sight. The courtyard was not big and looked a bit old, but it was very clean. This was another residence of the Chief Tower Master. The Chief Tower Master landed in the courtyard and went straight into the attic and closed the door. Qin Feiyang also landed in front of the loft with the Phantom Snake Emperor. He looked inside through the tiny crack in the door. However, the gap was too small and he could only see a little bit of the hall. He could not see the Chief Tower Master. No, I have to think of a way to go in. Qin Feiyang took a few steps back and looked up at the attic. Suddenly, his eyes locked onto the second floor's balcony. The door on the balcony was open. Shwa! Without hesitation, he jumped up and landed on the balcony. Don't make a sound. Letting out a long sigh, Qin Feiyang instructed the Spirit Serpent Emperor in his mind. Then, without touching the ground, he entered the pavilion and walked up the stairs to the hall on the first floor. Immediately, he saw the Chief Tower Master sitting next to the tea table with a gloomy face. What is he thinking? Spirit Serpent Emperor asked suspiciously. Don't talk, just watch. Qin Feiyang stared at it. Time passed breath by breath. Suddenly, the motionless Chief Tower Master raised his arm and flipped his hand. A multicolored crystal appeared in his hand. That's it. The Phantom Snake Emperor was excited. Qin Feiyang's eyes were also shining. But suddenly, he was stunned and then the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. I understand. What do you understand?